What is going on, all my comrades and gents? Am I first? It looks like you were second, sir. You were second. Better luck next time. What's going on, everybody? Happy Inauguration Eve. Less than, I don't know, 14, 13-ish hours from now, we will actually have a new president. Or the QAnon crew was right and we'll have a mass casualty event. I don't know. It's 50-50 at this point. I could go either way. Let me... That's not what I want to do. Hold on, I'm trying to, go live on TikTok here. But yeah, we got so many of those Capitol riot idiots are going to jail, felonies across the board. Yeah, a lot of people have, they're picking up a lot of people. I seen today that, they kicked 12, kicked 12, National Guard people out of being on duty because, I don't know, I guess they had, you know, some sus social media or something. Oh, G-Food, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. There's the damn background. Bam. There we go. That's taken care of. Maybe I'm right here. No face detection. Fuck. How's that work? Ah, son of a bitch. Emma Silverman just had a great update. Emma. Oh, I know Emma. Yeah. I always get her mixed up with Anala, the girl I had on my stream one time. Why is it not? Why is my camera not working? Hold on, I'm experiencing technical difficulties over here. The leader of the Oath Keepers getting FSB messages from someone inside. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, actually. I just read a really good article and I actually want to go over it on stream about how the real far-right crazies are, Oh, I know what I did. There we go. Alright, now that's figured out. We got 2 Irishmen in the chat. Yeah, but that's the first thing I want to go over is some of the Q people are throwing out some, like it's like a battle between like some of them think tomorrow is the day, and then like the other half are like, well, you know, maybe this fight's gonna continue, because that's what Mike Lindell and Lynn Wood are doing. They're like, we might not have it won yet, but we're gonna win it eventually, damn it. That's kind of the grift they're going with. There's always going to be people that want to continue this grift. That's why it'll never die. Republicans, Pelosi threatening Republicans with the fine for not... Yeah, that I don't understand. That's them. That's just Republicans grandstanding. That's all that is. Not wanting to go through metal detectors. Like, you just had a huge attack, and they're not even sure if people in Congress were involved in it. I mean, just walk through a metal detector. That is the most Karen move ever. Like, that infringes on my right. It's like, no, dude. No, it doesn't. Anyway, it looks like we got enough of the crew in here. Let's get into it. Bam. All right. So, yeah, anyway, like I said, very mixed bag currently right now on Gab, Parler, all that stuff. Not Parler, but this guy, this Red Pill 78, he's a pretty big content creator. He's kind of going with the Q, like, we're not going to get it today, boys, but it's coming down the road. New video about to come out, uploading now. I just want to remind everyone, that over the last 4 years, we have grown tremendously. POTUS and the white hats showed us that no matter how far gone we believed our country to be, there was still people out there willing to fight against insurmountable odds. Perhaps you were one of them. Perhaps, like me, you were inspired by POTUS to take action and help wake people up, while at the same time instilling an undenying hope. That's undenying, I'll give you that. No matter what the MSN tells us, no matter what doubts linger in our hearts, this fight is not over. Never interfere with an enemy who is in the midst of destroying itself. This is the plan, and we're watching it play out. Tomorrow may be rough for some people, but I guarantee you one thing, in the end we will win, and the people who sold out this country will face justice. We are almost there, patriots. Hold the line. God, you just can't quit the grift, man. Like this guy makes content every, he's verified, and he's got to hold on to something. I mean, because he knows it's over as far as that. I'm very curious to see. I think there's a section of people that'll be able, like, it's going to be a rough time tomorrow, but I think with like a soft, like a family member or something with like a soft letdown, they can be like, hey champ, maybe it's time to come back over this way now. But then we get into the crazier ones. I don't care how delusional I sound at this point. I will never give up on President Trump. I will never give up on our military. I will never give up on our republic. And then this is, I knew this was coming, because he's gonna, the code words in the speech, that's gonna come out. Trust yourself. Does this sound like a patriot handing over power to a Beijing administration? I didn't know you were doing that. Tomorrow at noon, or a president whose country was attacked by China handing over power to a U.S. military administration. Not to mention the choppy editing of this video. Sound levels, cutaways need to be examined closer. Champagne ready for tomorrow? Yeah. I just, like, I was gonna make a video about this earlier, but I mean it's been done so many times at this point. But what, other than the stock market, what can we say is better in our country now than it was 4 years ago? Like, I truly, and not just because I'm not a fan of Trump or anything, I truly can't think of anything. Like, other than the stock market, which is going to go up anyway. The stock market goes up, and he still doesn't have as good as numbers as Obama did, even with the tax cuts. And then you see stuff like this. Did you just see what POTUS just did? They feel extra comfy about the inauguration tomorrow. Trap set. Checkmate. That's kind of where we're going with Thanks for making the debunk video. Oh, thanks a lot. Appreciate it for the bits. Much obliged. Oh, thanks for the follow. Safaru. Anyway, what? This is a couple of the other. Anyone thinking that Trump will just walk away knowingly? Anyone thinking that Trump will just walk away knowingly the election got stolen? Stay. All you guys on TikTok there, I'm streaming on YouTube and Twitch. The link is in the bio if you want to come over here so you can actually see what we're talking about. Anyone thinking that Trump will just knowingly knowingly, I don't know what that's supposed to. Knowingly the election got stolen. You're the conspiracy theorist. Enjoy the show. It's about to start. Buckle up. The new one too is I guess because it's National Popcorn Day. I guess that's actually a thing. They're using popcorn emojis. Currently 2,500 active military personnel in Afghanistan in hostile territory. 30K active military personnel in DC for a virtual inauguration. Think about that. They're really pushing that one. I've seen that one in my comment section so many times. That or the if he had to if you need 25,000 people on inauguration day, maybe the people didn't elect you. It's like, that's not how it works. That's not how anything works. I too love popcorn. I don't know. One of my questions is because now, and you got a lot of stuff like this. The Biden-Harris inauguration is going to be an oversized satanic seance, and I highly recommend that Christians avoid it at all costs. What I want to know is this: did the internet drive millions of people mad, or were millions of people already mad? We just didn't know it because there was no internet. I think I agree with that. Then you got these two factions. He fucked us all. My friends are laughing at me right now. My daughter thinks I'm a nutcase. I lost my business. Then I lost my job. All in the pursuit of freedom and supporting this man. He bailed on us all. This is the very most important time in our at the very most important time in our history. This is far from over. He did not concede. This is far from over. He did not concede. Did not acknowledge Biden, and he said transition of power, not transfer of power. It's wordplay. Just be patient. Things are coming out soon. So you can kind of see how the basically two roaring factions of the Anoners right now. But anyway, so I read this very interesting article, and you know what? I was thinking about this earlier. QAnon, as a whole, has gotten more radical since Q stopped posting. Like, Q has not posted since December 8th, I think. And it's only like the rhetoric, whether it's on the message boards or anything like that, has only gotten increasingly worse. And that's because you have a lot of these far right, like militia types, like neo-Nazi, full-on white nationalist type, who are way more violent in their rhetoric. QAnon kind of started as like, you know, people, they believe in crazier stuff, but they're far less violent. At least they were. And now, like, almost you have this white nationalist neo-Nazi faction using QAnon beliefs to radicalize, more like people that believe that type of stuff into committing, acts of violence, things like that. And this article kind of talks about that. It says, increasingly militant Parler refugees and anxious QAnon adherents prep for doomsday. QAnon followers have become more divorced from reality since the Capitol riots, as some are targeted by extremists who try to radicalize them further. Lisa Norris got a panic phone call Monday from her brother. He told her to buy a ham radio. The radio, he explained, would be one of the few ways they could communicate once President Donald Trump launched his plans to take permanent power. We were dancing around the subject, then he just brought up that on the 20th, the truth is going to come out, Norris said. He's just going on and on about how we needed to have ham radios because we are not going to be able to talk on regular phones and everything is going to be dark. Trump has no such plans, but in the fractured QAnon community, which has turned to a variety of smaller messaging apps, YouTube, and to keep spreading conspiracy theories, evidence-free reports of a nationwide blackout and impending martial law Wednesday have become a last stand for true believers that Trump will be president after Inauguration Day. This is really annoying the shit out of me. Stay. Stop blinking. Okay. NBC News reviewed the social media accounts of Norris's brother, part of the sea of QAnon accounts that have become increasingly divorced from reality since the Capitol riots. Most of the accounts have expressed a belief that Trump will declare martial law and execute Democrats, yes, execute, on Inauguration Day, as part of the cult's long-awaited doomsday. They're not even in for the military tribunals anymore. They want full-on execution. Extremism researchers are calling some of the accounts Parler refugees, named for the conservative social media networks whose users are stumbling upon increasingly militant and radical information streams on smaller, unmoderated messaging apps and online forums. Parler has been offline since early January, After internet service companies cut ties with it, Twitter also banned 70,000 QAnon accounts this month. By the way, ever since they took Trump off of Twitter and they banned those 70,000 QAnon accounts, misinformation about the election has gone down 73%. So, just a little FYI. Melly Prezes, who studies white supremacist radicalization at the Global Network on Extremism and Technology, part of a nonprofit organization that works to prevent extremism from using online platforms, said she noticed explicit recruiting by white supremacist militias and what she called normie or previously non-radical Trump supporters on Telegram after Parler's removal. In white supremacist and neo-Nazi Telegram groups, discussions have centered around strategies to infiltrate pro-Trump chats and red pill what they have termed as Parler refugees, with careful constructed narratives and propagandas, she wrote in a recent report. Red pill in this sense means to radicalize online users with far right-wing views. Said militia groups were really ready for this flood of new users onto services like Telegram, where they had built audiences out of tens of thousands of users before the Capitol assaults. I've seen some Trump supporters kind of fumbling onto Telegram, not knowing how to use it exactly, and what is really concerning because it's such a huge recruitment pool, Krezes said. One extremist group on Telegram even created a red pilling guide, which included directions to strike up a friendly conversation with individuals, followed by a pre-constructed message through private messages. The guide tells recruiters to identify with potential targets for radicalization over their support for Trump, and then share fear of threats before demoralizing the targets into believing that the solution is violence. Said radicalization often starts in larger militia spaces on Telegram, like the one of the two groups run by the far-right extremist group Proud Boys, where pretty much anyone is allowed in. They find the target, they pull the individual off the side in Telegram in a one-on-one chat, and from the larger group chat, and then they try to develop a very personal relationship, she said. And that's where the whole recruitment model of manipulation lives, and they're feeding those red pill light versions on more hardcore white supremacist arguments. QAnon followers have retreated to smaller forums where the most popular posts have become exceedingly fantastical and bloody among followers who falsely believe Trump will stage a violent coup on Inauguration Day. And it kind of goes on a little bit from there. But yeah, and so that, I mean, and that's where you make the argument, like, is it, like, yes, misinformation has gone down on larger platforms by 73%. But all these people are going to these other sites and they're getting radicalized further by Proud Boys and neo-Nazis who are going to use their QAnon beliefs. It's like, well, you can't just keep being a digital soldier and posting 30 memes a day. Here's an AK. Let's go shoot some liberals. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. Kind of a weird, like, I totally think, like, people need to be deplatformed if they're spreading misinformation constantly, but then you have this kind of shit happening, and then it just gets worse and worse. Bible thumpers are weird AF. Yeah, most definitely. Apparently Pence isn't going to Trump's send-off party, which is kind of odd. I guess he didn't really back him up when he was going to get murdered, but, you know, so maybe that's why he didn't, 15 hours, 42 minutes, and 21 seconds. Nice. I like it. All evangelicals are sociopaths. I can get behind that statement. One of my mutuals, you guys have probably seen her, Biddy Buddha. She has a lot of good stories about how she used to be super religious and stuff, and some of the stuff they believed in. I think it's easy for people like that to get into stuff like QAnon just because they always have to believe in, like, some greater plan. and, you know, some higher creator and getting their message from some, I don't know, some entity. And I think it's just easier for them to fall into that. Good evening. Anyway, there's a little thing with it. Hold on. I think this is the lady that...
Malcolm Nance made the point a little while ago that there was nothing secret about this. It's a little unusual that everybody didn't have their act together, but these extremist conspiracy theories grow online. They're published online. This whole event was recruited for online.
That's exactly right. For months in advance, we were seeing extremist content, and the Stop the Steal conspiracy theory was really a driver, and it actually recruited so many people into this way of thinking and enraged so many people who maybe were Trump supporters, but there was still a boundary between that and extreme views. And we've just seen this corrosion between.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm worried about, because I'm worried about now that people... like people in the QAnon movement, which is millions at this point, you have millions of people that I think people are less likely to do radical shit. Like their guy was in power, you know what I mean? Especially like the first couple years there, they had the House, the Senate, the presidency. Even until recently, they had the presidency in the Senate. They pretty much controlled government. And they still had, you know, these very chaotic beliefs, and they were in the, you know, they got stirred up so much that they went and did this. But I think once they're out of power, they're much more likely to listen to the crazies that aren't just saying, okay, well, these people are all crazy, pedophile, you know, cabal, you know, the spiel. But they're more likely to listen to the, hey, let's pick up a gun and let's go kick some ass down at the Capitol. Like, I think they're much more likely to listen to that now. And yeah, I think, I don't know, there needs to be we need to take a serious look at how to combat misinformation in a better way than like the way we currently do it, where it's, you know, it's random journalists, and I don't know, just maybe take a look at the way we do our media in general. Something, man, I don't know. Some people a lot smarter than me need to figure it out, and like teams of people put a lot of money into it. I know that, what's her face? Biden's intelligence picks pledged to threat assess on QAnon. So she's talking about, putting a team together basically to, you know, assess the QAnon threat and kind of misinformation threat as a whole. So that's good. I mean, it's a step in the right direction anyway. Turn this off. By the way, while you guys are here, if you could like the stream, I really, really appreciate it. Also, if you watch my lives on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. You can also, if you want to support me, subscribe on Twitch. Join the Discord if you want to send me stuff. Yeah, and everything is in the description of my YouTube. You can also go to the About section on my Twitch. All the panels are there to all my social medias, everything. But yeah, everything's down in the description. You know, whatever you want to follow me on TikTok, Twitter, support me, donate to the stream, any of that jazz. Okay, let's continue this.
That dividing line, it seems to not exist anymore. I was in Parler, which was an app extremely easy to download, and you're just immediately in an echo chamber. You don't even...
I think purging white power out of police and military is a big first step. True. 100% true.
Have to get inside one of these chat rooms like we've seen on Telegram. Well, Parler was shut down on Monday in the wake of the January 6th siege on the Capitol, and you saw this huge uptick in membership in some of the most extreme Telegram channels. So if you download Telegram onto your phone, it's really easy to get inside these chat rooms if you know what to look for. And you're seeing QAnon conspiracies, which give way to people posting, for example, what we found in a channel we've been monitoring for months is a U.S. Army manual for bomb making, for munitions making. These are extremely, extremely dangerous things that are being shared openly on these channels. Now, unbelievably, or not unbelievably, but in an unprecedented way, Telegram did shut down a host of these channels, and we followed up our reporting with that.
Well, I'm glad they could draw the line at sharing bomb-making ideas. I'm glad they could shut that down. Jesus. Seems like a low bar. I don't know.
This was an unprecedented move for U.S. channels. Remember, Telegram was the app favored by ISIS, and now it's really the place for far-right extremists, conspiracy theories, and sadly and unfortunately, calls for violence. They were building up to calls for violence on January 6th, and now recalibrating and planning for January 20th, Inauguration Day.
Anna, well, experts in this field differ on whether it's good that Twitter and Facebook and mainstream social media are clamping down on these groups. Last week, I was speaking to Sinan Aral, the professor from MIT, who said he's worried about the fact that what was in the open for investigators and the public to at least see now may be going into narrower and narrower channels. You've been studying this for years. You've lived in those places where...
Personally, what I think is that, and it's so hard to do though. But we have to draw a distinction between the grifters like Joe M, Praying Medic, the Amazing Polly, Jordan Sather, the ones that really push the disinformation and are actively making money off of it, like actual content conspiracy grifters. I think those people need to be deplatformed 100% because they are they're pushing 90% of the, propaganda. Like, but Joe Blow, who is only kind of, maybe retweeting it, and I think it's almost better in a way to keep the average Joe on Twitter, where at least he can see some pushback. Like I've been scrolling through Telegram periodically the last week, and it is a dumpster fire. Does not even begin to explain what that place is, especially the QAnon boards. And it's like, so is it good that, you get no pushback there, and you're completely in this echo chamber of just crazy, whereas on Twitter, you can at least possibly get a little pushback or see different information. But the main grifters need to 100% be banned. But then you're talking, that it's hard to make that distinction, I would think, especially on Twitter's end. How would you gauge it? You know what I mean? Their best demographic is the uneducated. That's not necessarily true, though. You see a lot of people that are educated that buy this stuff. You can't make that mistake, because if you just make the mistake that these people are just uneducated, that you underestimate this stuff. Like, there's a lot of people that are military trained or college educated that just get radicalized because, I don't know, their life sucks at the time. They're trying to find meaning in something. They have no control over the rest of their life. So instead of it being, something wrong with them, it's actually the deep state cabal. It's not just like, oh, well, these people are dumb. You know what I mean? Like, if we just look at it that way, like, we'll never pull anybody out of it, or we'll just, continue to have this major issue.
These conspiracy theories.
With that said, there is a large section that is kind of, bit loopy.
Come from. They've come out in the open, and is there some danger of them being squeezed out of the open?
Absolutely. It's a double-edged sword. So on the one hand, there is some hope that when people switch platforms, it creates an opportunity for mistakes to be made where people can reveal identifying information even when they're posting under an anonymous name or a pseudonym. However, you're forcing people into the darker and darker corners of the internet. It's harder to find them. So if you wipe out Parler, then you see this huge influx into Telegram, and it's a game of whack-a-mole. And what I've seen is extremists posting in Telegram saying we're not going away. And you see these backup channels. So you're in some of the worst channels where, Hitler glorification, calls for violence are just popping up in your feed, so to speak. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, we might not have a long time here. So here's the backup channel, and here's the backup to the backup channel. So these guys know that they're being watched, and they've created ways to go elsewhere and bring their audience elsewhere, and sadly radicalize more people in this climate where it's so polarized. There's so much anger, there's so much mistrust that, as you saw on January 6th too, people who were at that rally probably wouldn't have gone a few years ago, but now they are taking that step, and maybe even taking a step inside the Capitol unlawfully. People you never would have thought would have done that under other circumstances, and that's so troubling.
True. Ashley Babbitt voted for Obama. Even a lot of people I know personally voted for Obama, and now they think Joe Biden is like gonna, usher in a communist Chinese dictatorship or something. I don't even know what they think, but they don't think anything good. But it is crazy to see how quick people can be radicalized. My little brother believes in this shit, and he's college educated, and I used to be a 9/11 conspiracy nut, which started when I was in college. It plays on emotion, not logic. You use emotions to trick people into thinking. Yeah, exactly. It plays on your emotion. I heard somebody the other day say, logic is not what got people into QAnon, and logic is not what is going to get people out. And that is so true. Like that, like it plays on your emotion. Like that is the like I said, your life isn't fulfilled. Your wife just left you. You lost your job. Something's other, yada yada, and you fall down a rabbit hole. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. But anyway, yeah. What was I gonna? By the way, Tim Pool decided he would give a little copium today to the conspiratorial right. He didn't come out right and say it, but he kind of did. He fed into it a little bit. We'll go over that in a minute. But people are desperate to understand reality. They search for answers in the conspiracy theories. Yeah. Well, you know what a lot of it is? It's like people don't believe in, like, they think that like a big event should have more complex answers. Like you'll see a lot of conspiracy theories about JFK, but you won't see barely any conspiracies about Ronald Reagan, who also got shot. He just didn't die. You don't see any conspiracy theories about that situation. Even though, I mean, if there was one conspiracy I was going to believe in, it would probably be JFK, as far as like the Warren Commission. Like, I don't know if they got it 100% right. You know what I mean? Like, there could be more to it, but like, it's hard to believe that one guy can basically, can change the course of history like that. Just some, schmuck. And like the whole way it went down was kind of goofy too. But if he wouldn't have died, people are probably more likely to believe it because it's not as big of an event. But anyway, there's a conspiracy theory about Reagan. Well, I'm sure there is, but it's just not. Everybody and their mom has heard conspiracies about JFK. Like, I'm sure there is some about Reagan, just not to the extent there is now. I mean, not to the extent there is JFK. Anyway, Dominion sends cease and desist letter to Mike Lindell, and then apparently he's starting to get kicked out of a lot of stores. And this is what he had to say about it. He did a little interview.
First, I found out yesterday. I made it. I have one of the worst. I found out yesterday. I made it dignify that.
From an interview earlier this evening, Mike Lindell tells Right Side Broadcasting that he was just told that Bed Bath & Beyond has dropped My Pillow. Also complains about whatever that is. But yeah, he's basically getting dropped from everywhere, and he's blaming, censorship. Not that, he's pushing far-right conspiracies or anything.
By 20-fold. I have one of the worst, I found out yesterday, I made it to the top. It's called Sleeping Giant, sleepinggiant.com, whatever. They're a watchdog group that claim to be, they're out of Silicon Valley, the most evil people on the planet. And these guys get hired, and they're attacking not only My Pillow, many other companies out there, but they're attacking my vendors. They go to people. I just got off the phone with Bed Bath & Beyond. They're dropping My Pillow. Just got off the phone not 5 minutes ago. Kohl's, all these different places. So you know what?
By the way, I just want y'all to know that Minnesota apologizes for Mike Lindell. Like, I don't know what happened with him, but he does not represent the state. He is not. He's just like, the crazy goofy uncle or something. I don't know where he came from, but man.
If you're out there, maybe these guys don't understand. They're scared, like a Bed Bath & Beyond. They're scared. We are good partners. In fact, I told them, you guys come back anytime you want. But it's not their fault that they're scared, because they don't realize these are fake people that are on there going, we're gonna boycott your store if you don't drop My Pillow. And they're magnify that by 20-fold. And if you're a business owner out there, don't believe in those little bots and trolls. This is the evil left. This is the evil, crazy left, deep state, or whatever it is. This isn't a politics.
I don't understand why these capitalist Republicans don't understand just bad business. Like, nobody cares, man. Bed Bath & Beyond does not care if you're right wing. They do not care if you're left wing. They only care if you're going to affect their bottom dollar. That is it. The NFL does not give a shit about BLM. They don't give, neither does Amazon. None of these big corporate entities do. They only care about the bottom dollar. And you, sir, are bad for business now because you're known as a crackpot who's pushing baseless conspiracies. So you're bad for their bottom line for them to be associated with you. It is not because they're like some super socialist company that wants to, do right by the left-wing mob. No, you're just bad for business. That's it. That's all it is, man. Like, there's no grand conspiracy here. It's just you're bad for business. So they booted you. They gave you the boot.
Politician thing of Democrat, Republican. This is what part of the thing attacking our country. This is the communism coming in, basically, and they hired the best to attack us. And
it's communism that Bed Bath & Beyond kicked him out of the stores. I feel like that's capitalism at its finest. Damn communism, kicking people out of stores.
And I have friends of mine that they're getting they've been gone after by the machine people. These Dominion, these
the machine
SOS,
people.
SAS,
the machine people.
They're threatening to or they did. I think they're going after him. But you know what? That's great. I welcome them to come after me because I got all the evidence. Then we'll finally see it, right?
Absolutely.
And
he's got all the evidence, guys. Biden's getting inaugurated tomorrow, but he's got all the evidence. Just you wait and see.
Sidney Powell, you've just reading some notes here we got from some viewers. You answered one earlier about Sidney Powell. You've been communicating with her, so she's obviously still on board, right? We can check that off.
Yeah, Sydney's been hard to reach. She's been working night and day. Her and I.
As of this morning, Sidney Powell dropped her last lawsuit, so apparently he didn't. What the fuck, man? Why does it do this sometimes? There. Yeah, but Sidney Powell dropped her last lawsuit, so apparently she ain't so on board no more.
Obviously still on board, right? We can check that off.
Yeah, Sydney's been hard to reach. She's been working night and day. Her and I talk at least twice a day.
Who in the hell are the machine people? I'm not sure.
People out there, but she said to tell everyone she promises she is going to keep fighting until everybody knows.
This isn't even a day old, and it's already in the did not age well. like, I don't know, 9 hours after he did this interview, Sidney Powell comes out and withdraws her last lawsuit in Georgia.
About this machine fraud and that other countries took this election from us. And that's my promise to everybody too. There is no way and she, do we get down? Well, sure, we get down like everyone, because I'm going, and I had to tell Cindy,
What?
we live with no fear. We only fear the Lord. And that's all we can do. And we can, we keep doing, if there's something else that comes in, I do it. We're proactive. We keep trying to get out ahead of
I think he's got the same guy as Don Jr., if you know what I mean.
this. But because of all the stuff that was done that wasn't normal, things fell behind, because when you find all fraud of everything else, you expect a judge to say, wow, that was illegal. Let's take these guys out. Yes, Donald Trump wins this state, this state, this state. But that didn't happen. So now all of a sudden, and the machines at one time were going, everybody knew they were off, or at least a lot of people did. When I first heard about them, I did my own math. I did my own math on November 4th, and I said, this is mathematically impossible or improbable. For sure.
I just see the My Pillow guy, pillow in one hand, dry erase board up on the wall, marker in the other hand. He's just doing the math. Carry the 2 by the 3. These votes just don't add up. Well, this is mathematically impossible. Let me call Sydney and Lynn. Like, yeah, okay. I bet you just did your own math and figured out that the election was rigged. I don't know. I don't know if I trust them numbers, bud.
Improbable, close to impossible. And then I got this guy 4 days ago. He brought it in 100% impossible, and
Right.
not just so.
Okay, last part. Somebody asked me a question. What do I think the chances of acts of violence or riots tomorrow? I think there's a chance around other like cities and states. And DC, I think DC is so locked down, I don't think anything's gonna happen. Like, obviously they're overcompensating at this point. They've had some threats of violence, things like that. But I mean, they're pretty much locked down, and they can't have anything else happen. It would be very, very bad PR. So yeah, they're just over 30,000 troops is obviously overkill. So unless you believe the narrative, and they have it heavily fortified, fence, all that. So unless you believe the QAnon narrative that, they're going to take over, I think the guard is very much in place, and, nothing will happen in DC tomorrow. Now, around the country, that could be a different story. There's been some boogaloo goings-ons, so we'll see.
I get this question asked 100 times a day. I still think there's a 2 to 3% chance Donald J. Trump remains in that White House past Wednesday for whatever reason happens and whatever God has planned for.
How do you think he calculated that? 2 to 3% chance that he's still in the White House come tomorrow.
This great country and this great president. That's just my personal thoughts. I got to go with it.
Yeah, and I want everyone out there to keep the prayers up and for our president. But I will say this: 100%.
He's hugging his
the
only
truth
friend.
will be revealed, and when it is, we don't know what happens then. So I don't want everyone out there being so depressed.
Yeah, 2 to 3%.
Okay, what if nothing gets done? And this guy, that's not that inauguration then would be a null and void. I mean, it's not even real.
God, there's so much cope going on here.
Suspicion, but then when this is revealed, and it will be, I give everybody my promise, it will be. We didn't come all this way, and God didn't do, fighting evil to lose. This is going to be amazing.
Well, anyway, that's that. Yeah, so Mike Lindell did not come all this way, guys, to fight all this evil and then lose at the end. This inauguration will be null and void. The big theory is kind of that they have, or at least the theory that is still going around is that once he's actually inaugurated, that's when I don't know, what the fuck they're calling it, whatever, that's when it'll be official. The treason or the fraud will be made official, and then that's when Trump can swoop in and take them all down. So past noon tomorrow, we should get some interesting takes as far as see, they're calling it National Popcorn Day. These are all over they do have some interesting memes, man. Happy National Popcorn Day. Enjoy the show. This is another one of the big Qtaw. The best is yet to come. Now, as I prepared to hand power over to a new administration, I want to know the movement we started only just beginning. I don't know if any of the info Linwood is telling us is true. I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. However, I do know every red line Q told us about got crossed. I don't know if that's true. In fact, I know that that's definitely not true. Hard no on that. Did you guys see Mitch McConnell?
The last time the Senate convened, we had just reclaimed the Capitol from violent criminals who tried to stop Congress from doing our duty. The mob was fed lies. They were provoked by the president and other powerful people. And they tried.
And Mitch, you played right into it. I can't stand this whole jumping ship by all these Republican establishment types that totally fed into everything Trump the last 4 years. And up until after the Georgia runoffs, then they all want to start souring on it and backing up. And then, they talk about this insurrection stuff like, oh, we could have never seen this coming. We're appalled at this behavior. It's like, dude, you guys are the ones in power. You're the one that allowed these narratives to have life. You are the reason. And now you're like, oh, I'm so appalled. How did this ever happen? It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
To use fear and violence to stop a specific proceeding of the first branch of the federal government.
Turtle Connell.
Which they did not like. But we pressed on.
Oh, you're so fucking brave.
And said an angry mob would not get veto power over the rule of law in our nation, not even for one night.
Sound like you was singing a carol there at the end. Not even for one night. Blah. Yeah, that's basically what it is. A child coming up with a bad excuse. Oh, Christ. But yeah, if you want to know why Mike Lindell is getting kicked out of stores,
this historical week, I'm actually going to be meeting with General Flynn, Sidney Powell, everybody on my team. What is stuff going on that I can't say? All I want to do is give everybody confidence that Donald Trump's going to be your president for the next 4 years. All this, they're very much afraid. All the evidence that I know is there.
This is the day of the insurrection, by the way. The same day he shared some document calling for war.
It's going to come out this week, and everybody praying for protection for everybody that's standing up to these guys for our country. This is the only time we have in history to beat these guys.
I can't even watch it anymore. I can't even take it. All right, so anyway, while you guys are here, if you could like the stream, I'd really, really appreciate it. If you want to follow me on Twitch, all that stuff, I'd also really appreciate it. Links are in the description. So, yeah, and join the Discord. And you guys on TikTok, links in the bio to YouTube and Twitch. So Tim Pool made a video about the FBI to vet all National Guard over fear of inside attack on Biden inauguration. And he just can't seem to figure out why they would want to do this. And he very slyly feeds into the right-wing conspiracy while trying to say that he doesn't believe in conspiracies. And he also calls out the left-wing conspiracies, which I'm not really sure what are. So yeah, we hadn't looked at a Tim Pool video in a while, so I figured we'd check it out. Now the one who wants Mitch McConnell to read Christmas stories. I mean, I'm gonna have to decline that one. I don't know. There was a night before Christmas, and I got a bunch of money from this coal company. I don't know. Maybe he does. He has an interesting voice, that's for sure.
Theories about what's going to happen on the 20th. And it's not just a right-wing thing like the left or the media would have you believe, because there's actually left-wing conspiracy theories as well. And look, I'll tell you this.
Again, like, we're already starting. Like, what? What is the left-wing conspiracy? Can someone tell me? I look into conspiracies and stuff all the time. I don't know what the left-wing conspiracy going on right now is. The worst thing I've seen the left push in the past week is some fake news about Lauren Boebert, and that was like over when she took a tour, or like there was a little bit of false information, but that was more just false information. That wasn't a conspiracy, you know? Like, what is he talking? Like, he can never just like, he always has to like play the both sides. It's like, well, you know, I condemn these conspiracies, but I also condemn these conspiracies that don't fucking exist.
Something weird is happening in D.C., but something weird happened a couple weeks ago. A large group of Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol building, and it's weird. We are not in normal times. Anybody who's going to tell you they can predict what's going to happen probably won't end up being correct. And I'll say that for myself, but I think it's fair to say there is a very large chance, in all likelihood, Joe Biden is inaugurated, then they remove the...
What does that mean? It's literally the day before. Well, okay, he made this on the 18th. 2 days before the inauguration. A very large chance. You can't just, like... He's gonna be president, bro. Like, I know your audience has to huff that copium, but he's gonna be president, my guy.
Troops from D.C., and then we'll see where we go from there. I kind of feel like escalation is still on the menu because, well, everybody feels that way, and that's just the direction we're pointed in. I wish it weren't the case, but even the establishment fears an inside job. This is where everything starts to get very strange. Defense officials fear there could be an inside attack during Biden's inauguration and will vet all 25,000 National Guard troops stationed in D.C. as Army reservist with secret security clearance is arrested in Capitol siege.
Like, he does know this is for the president of the United States, right? Not like a party at Chuck E. Cheese. I don't understand. I feel like this should be just something they do anyway. As someone, I don't remember who now, in the comments pointed out, we need to be rooting out the crazies within the military and, you know, police force anyway, because that's been a way that these militia types get people on the inside, and these far-right Proud Boy types. They have their own within the, you know, the military and the police force. So why he thinks it's so crazy that they're going to vet everyone for the presidential inauguration, I don't know. Just, it's very odd to me.
Did you know there were active duty members of the armed forces who were arrested due to their participation in the riots at the Capitol? Active duty. Yeah. So the Democrats and the Pentagon are quite scared. With 25,000 armed National Guard shoot to kill orders. Maybe that's a little too much. Let me make sure I just get the language correct on the National Guard. Authorized to use lethal force. The dramatic escalation in authorities granted to the 20,000 Guard troop station in D.C. is only the latest response to last week's massive security failure. I've seen a lot of people saying it's weird that the National Guard is out here full kit. They have their weapons, like they have rifles, and they have been given authorization to kill people. That's really weird. One retired, I believe it was a retired general, said we've not had this level of security for an inauguration since Abraham.
Who's been saying it, Tim? Who's been saying it? Who's been saying it's weird? I haven't seen anybody saying it's weird. I mean, I've been seeing a certain group of people say it's weird, but that's it. Dave Rubin and Dim Pool grift by claiming they have been swayed by liberalism. It's partially BS. It's pretty much all the way BS. I mean, they're full on. I don't know what they were at one point, like Tim during Occupy Wall Street. I believe both of them, maybe they had left-wing views or they still have left-wing views, but they have found that it's very, very profitable to say you're a disaffected lefty and then shill for Trump. Like that's the grift they've gone into. I don't know what their personal views, like what they actually believe is, but I know for 100% fact that they know that that is the best grift going. Dave Rubin doesn't really do it as much anymore. He's kind of gone full on to the right. Like he said, he's on the right now. But for like 3 years, he just platformed a bunch of crazy people. He's like, yeah, I just want to hear about ideas. He did that grift.
Abraham Lincoln. So something is certainly happening, but we've not had a large group of people storming the Capitol. I guess they're saying since, the War of 1812 or whatever, when the British did it. I do think there's a big difference between a foreign adversary storming into a government building and American citizens angry with the American government doing it. Neither are good, but there's a big difference between war and mass unrest. I'm glad we have the security. I am. I think we'll need...
Well, I mean, yeah, if a foreign country had done that, we would be bombing them right now. In this situation, we're just arresting the people and beefing up security. So yeah, it is different. If had that been Iran or Iraq that led an insurgency inside the Capitol the other day, it doesn't matter what kind of people they were, they'd be getting bombed currently.
Need a lot of it. I don't know about 25,000 National Guard troops. I don't think we'll need that much. But a lot of people are freaked out by it. And it's not just the vetting. It's also the statement put out by the Joint Chiefs of Staff warning troops against sedition and insurrection before Biden's inauguration. I got to tell you, the Pentagon is terrified that there are Trump loyalist National Guardsmen and military personnel, and there probably are. There's a lot of crazy stuff I've heard. I'm sorry, I can't do the conspiracy theorists on the left or the right. I don't care. It's nonsense, okay? That Trump was a Russian. Trump was working with the KGB. It's ridiculous.
Now, imagine comparing Trump was possibly working with Russia and that was stupid. Don't get me wrong. Trump's been working with the Russian KGB since the 90s or whatever. That was a dumb theory. And some people on the left did push it, but it's mostly like never Trump Republicans and neoliberals on TV that didn't want to come to grips with that. Maybe I'm the reason that we lost because I put out shit information for, a year. That was a dumb theory. But to compare that to the vast ecosystem of far-right crazy conspiracies that have pretty much fractured the Republican Party at this point. I'm pretty much of the belief that the Republican Party is going to be fractured into two at this point. We're going to have a Patriot Party, and then we'll have a establishment party. I don't know. I don't know. I think the Republican Party as we know it is done for because of conspiracy theories, if nothing really changes. So to compare those two is just it's just ridiculous. The Russia investigation, not only did Trump try to collude with Russia, they literally had a meeting and they just couldn't come to terms, but 30-something indictments, several people in the campaign were arrested. It's just not comparable anyway. And what the hell does that have to do with right now? That has nothing to do, okay, so they had a narrative 4 years ago. That has nothing to do with right now.
But don't get me wrong. It's not just the Russiagate stuff. The left has a new fringe crazy conspiracy.
Oh, God, what is that?
Doesn't really cover it a whole lot.
Well, maybe it's because it doesn't exist.
Right who think, trust the plan because it's going to come through, and it just never come through. I've heard so much.
There's a Q at that. Trust the plan. See, Tim's never come right out and talked about Q because he knows it's bad for business. That's probably the closest he's ever come.
2 weeks ago, Trump is going to enact this executive order and nothing happens.
The Irish Brigade of QAnon.
on November 3rd. And then they waited and called it for Biden. And then I heard, Well, Trump needed to lose. They needed to call it for Biden so that the treason would be solidified, right? Because attempted treason isn't a crime. So then when nothing happened and the lawsuits failed, they said, well, you've got to wait for certification on the 14th when they vote. You have to wait for the vote. That solidifies the treason, and then nothing happened. And then, well, we got to wait until January 6th, and then storming of the Capitol happened, but then Biden. So listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just think everybody needs to chill out on the craziest theories. We're sitting back, we're watching, we're being cautious and prepared, and we'll see. And I think, in all likelihood, as I've said since the I believe the 7th, just after probably the 7th or 8th, it's going to be Joe Biden. Okay. The only, I don't even bring it up, but maybe.
I don't even want to go to the amount of, oh, hold on here. K Renee 89, thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. I don't even want to go through all of Tim's videos, but just go on his channel one of these times. Thanks for new host, Starface. I don't know what that means. But just go on Tim's channel one of these times and see all the videos where every single time Trump had one of these dumb lawsuits that he's like, this could be it, baby. This is the thing that's going to put him back into it. This guy, Jose, he's a YouTuber. He just made a good video about how Tim Pool keeps his audience ignorant, and it kind of goes over that. So for him to say that since the 7th, he said, oh, Joe Biden is going to win, that's just not true. He's literally every single time that Trump has had one of these ridiculous lawsuits that never had any chance, he's like, oh, this could be it. Trump could come back. I mean, he's known to come back. Like, he is constantly, over this last 2 months, gotten millions and millions of views by dishing out this completely false horseshit hope. And now he just can't admit it. He won't do it.
Kamala Harris for some reasons. But let me read this story and we'll see what's going on. Daily Mail reports. U.S. defense officials
ripping into Tim Pool is a
attack during President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration.
Fun thing on the left to do.
The FBI to vet all of the 25,000 national.
You got to do it though. Like, some people are like, "Oh, why do you give a shit about Tim Pool?" It's like, these guys are misleading millions of people. He makes like several videos a day. This video has 224,000 views. So a lot of people need to be calling out his horse shit, and that's why. I do, and I know a lot of people on the left, rebut Tim Pool videos and Steven Crowder videos, stuff like that, because these people need to be called on their bullshit constantly, because they're constantly doing it.
Guard troops coming into Washington. The massive undertaking reflects the extraordinary security concerns that have gripped Washington following the deadly January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol by pro-Trump writers. I just want to mention, I'm glad that we're officially in the historic confirmation territory of it was an insurrection. Look, it was a bunch of angry Americans who had no idea what was going on and no idea what they were doing. And I'm not trying to be emotionally loaded in these statements. I'm trying to just give you the facts. Clearly, there was no plan. They stormed in a bunch.
What? So you So you think there was absolutely no plan? So you think the guys with the zip tie handcuffs had no plan? And they're in full camo, gun on his hip, zip tie, police issue handcuffs, not just any zip tie handcuffs. You think they had no plan? You think the brigade of guys with military gear and helmets, with army training or military training, whatever you want to say, had absolutely no plan? I'm not going to say there wasn't a few people in there bumbling around, sure, but there was definitely a plan by a lot of those people to go in there and take names and kick ass because they thought the storm was coming. And they really thought that they were either going to round these people up and put them through military tribunals, or they thought they were going to do a mass execution, because that's what a lot of these people believe. That's just what they believe. That's documented. People believe this stuff. And thanks to people like you who never push back on any of this stuff, and the closest you'll come is be like, oh, well, I don't like conspiracies on the left or the right. They continue to believe this stuff. I mean, there's been documented evidence that they made merch about it. There's documented evidence that they were going to go in there and, they were start the Civil War or going to go in there and take their country back.
A bunch of people walked in because the cops let them in, and they bumbled around confused quite a bit, not knowing where they were going. I'm sure some of them maybe had...
He's trying to like make like they're like a bunch of like bumbling around, like they're a bunch of country bumpkins. Like this is such like he's just trying to, you know, like he's the first guy to call out BLM or Antifa for anything that went wrong and how they're, you know, this dangerous criminal organization. But when a bunch of people who planned and coordinated an attack on the Capitol, when that happens, who believed they were taking orders from the president, as we've seen, we've gone over on this stream, and you've seen it plenty elsewhere, that's not, you know, that's just people bumbling around taking selfies.
Ideas of what they want to do, but nobody was coordinated. They call that insurrection. They say it also underscores fears that some of the very people assigned to protect the city over the next several days could present a threat to the incoming president and other VIPs in attendance. One Army reservist with secret security clearance has already been arrested for his alleged part in the Capitol siege earlier this month. Timothy Hale Cusinelli, 30, of New Jersey, was described in court papers as an avowed white supremacist and Nazi sympathizer who allegedly encouraged other violent rioters before being charged Friday. The riot at the Capitol, which left 5 people dead, has led to a reckoning unprecedented in American history. President Donald Trump told the crowd to march to the Capitol and that you'll never take back a country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong. He also said, we're going to peacefully march and then cheer on some politicians. Please provide full context, Daily Mail. An Associated Press review of public records, social media posts, and video from Friday shows at least 22 current or former members of the U.S. military or law enforcement have been identified as being at or near, with more than a dozen others under investigation but not yet named. At or near. Spare me. A lot of people were there to see Trump speak. And after he did, a lot of those...
Like... What, Tim? Oh, it's only at... They said at or near. Spare me. I don't... Like, clearly people were... I mean, I don't know. Like, it's pretty bad when you're like, you think the Daily Mail is being biased against the right. Like, the Daily Mail is, like, one of the worst rags, more mainstream rags, out there, which he uses all the time, by the way. And, like, the denial is just so deep with this guy. Cat Dog. I like that cartoon.
People, almost all of them actually left. I've been given different estimates, but most people
not everybody did an insurrection, so you know. He didn't like that argument when it came to BLM or Antifa. 93% of the riots were or 93% of the protests were peaceful. He didn't like that argument. Now it's like, oh, well, not everybody, you know, tried to commit insurrection on or didn't go in and bumble around, as you say. And he's even given, you know, he's given them like every benefit of the doubt when it comes to this stuff.
I've said at least a couple 100,000 people in D.C. for Trump. And a few thousand went to the Capitol and actually stood on the Capitol grounds. And a few hundred actually went inside the Capitol. We'll see how things play out. I think the whole thing was a big mistake, but we'll see. They say, in many cases, those who stormed the Capitol appeared to employ tactics, body armor, and technology such as two-way radio headsets that were similar to those of the very police they were confronting. That is ridiculous. You can buy walkie-talkies at REI. Yeah, I got to tell you, my friends, I'm looking at these photos. I'm looking at these videos of the National Guard. Look at these here.
Why does it matter where you can buy walkie-talkies at? Clearly, if they're going in there, walkie-talkies, ready to go. They were also using like this two-way radio app, which apparently gotten like, I don't know, like gotten some heat over all that. But I mean, clearly they're in there trying to communicate and, you know, find stuff or find people. Like, I don't understand why where you can buy radios at matters.
Actual U.S. Army and National Guard personnel. They seem to all be fit and well-equipped. And then I'm looking at these videos of the militia members and some of these protests that happened with the Boogaloo Boys, they're very out of shape. Very out of shape and overweight, okay? Listen, you've got the National Guard. Maybe
They were fat, so it doesn't matter. Remember that, guys. In Tim's version, they were fine. They were fine people on both sides. True. Yeah. Fine. Well, yeah, just fine people all around, really. Like, and fat. They were fat too. Fat, fine people on Trump's side, and they were just bumbling around.
some of them have sympathies. You'd have to get some commanding officer who has a plan and wants to take some action or whatever. I just don't see that happening. Maybe we really are in, unprecedented times, to say the least. I'd like to divert.
Tim Pool's a fucking journalist.
Bias, as I often would, but nothing about what's going on right now is normal. This has not happened since the 1860s. That's what they're saying. We've not had this level of security. We've not had a storming of the Capitol since 1812. Something weird is happening. Something is freaking these people out to the point where the Joint Chiefs had to issue a...
See what I mean? Something weird's going on, man. What's going down? Why are there so many National Guard in there? I mean, it's not like we had a giant attack on the Capitol and there's been a lot of chatter about, far right-wing militias attacking the incoming president of the United States. I mean, that's not a big deal, right? Something weird is going on. You see, he's so slick about it. Like, he just feeds a little bit of that copium at a time, just a little bit of it. Something's going down, guys. They're scared. They're worried about something. Maybe Trump's got something planned. Who knows?
A warning to troops. They had to tell the armed forces, don't you support Donald Trump. And I don't think people are going to care.
I don't think that's what they said. I think if they found any people that are clearly, kind of out there, they just didn't take the chance. And they probably just dismissed them because, we have a lot of troops.
Listen, if you really believe that there are Trump supporters who are that loyal to him, that they would defy the constitutional process we've gone through thus far, or they believe it wasn't legitimate, then there's nothing you can say. Nothing. I'll stress this.
They already did. That's what they did. And they're not trying to change their mind. They're trying to prevent against it.
Again, because I made this point a couple weeks ago and a couple weeks before that. I've made this point in videos going back a couple years.
I bet.
Military coup is not some commanding officer saying, okay, gentlemen, let's go stage a coup and support Donald Trump. That won't happen. I'll tell you what'll happen.
Oh, it's going to happen.
They'll say, hey, we have, new orders. Go and guard the White House. That's it. And they won't know why. And it's a reasonable order. We're going to guard the White House. Sounds good. But you don't know where that order comes from. You see the problem? This message sent out from the Joint Chiefs is meaningless. Meaningless. Okay? The message must be to the officers or to the ranking individuals who would potentially give orders. I told you this story before about the Bosphorus Bridge in Turkey. I don't know, where we're at in the story because I've not covered this since it happened. But soldiers went to this bridge in Turkey and
Does Tim think we don't know who's giving the orders for the troops? I don't, does he think there's a secret coup going on? I don't understand what he thinks is going on. Does he think they're being duped? Just the whole country, they just sent these troops over there, and he's just like, hey, we don't know where this order's really coming from, and that's how a coup happens.
We're guarding it. The media then reported they were staging a coup. Civilians then came and dragged away the soldiers and beat them to death. My understanding at the time was that these soldiers were just given a kind of blanket, normal-sounding order, like, hey, we got to secure this bridge. There's maybe a terror attack. And they went, you got it, not realizing what was really going on around them because it's need to know. They're not going to tell all the lower-ranking National Guardsmen the orders you're being given are to subvert the Constitution. Why would they say that? They want loyalty. They would just tell you, hey, everybody, go and shut down this road. We got a threat, so we're going to keep everybody safe. Then they do it, and then before they realize it, they're blocking the road and Biden can't get in. Who knows? So I don't understand why they're putting out this message. It's not going to do anything. Here's what Vox reports. In a statement sent out to the entire U.S. military, all 8 members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff condemned the Capitol insurrection. Top military officials prefer to stay out of anything tinged with politics. For one to say something after last week's event would be noteworthy and rare enough. For all 8 Joint Chiefs to speak out together in a message to the Joint Force, no less, shows just how perilous they deem the moment to be, saying, "The violent riot in D.C. on January 6 was a direct assault on the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Congress, the Capitol building, and the constitutional process." The letter signed by all 8 Joint Chiefs reads, "We witnessed actions inside the Capitol building that were inconsistent with the rule of law. The rights of freedom of speech and assembly do not give anyone the right to resort to violence, sedition, and insurrection. As service members, we must embody the values and ideals of the nation. We support and defend the Constitution. Any act to disrupt the constitutional process is not only against our traditions, values, and oath, it is against the law. President-elect Joe Biden will be inaugurated and will become our 46th commander-in-chief." Well, Trump could subvert this letter by resigning right now so that Mike Pence becomes president, because then Joe Biden would be the 47th president, which would be one of the stupidest things. But I've heard people...
That might be the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my life. What? Why? Why would he do that? What? Like, what? Oh, like... Oh, actually, he could subvert it he could make this letter null and void by resigning a day before. Like, what would be the point of that exactly? Why would he even bring that up? I don't.
Will say that would be ridiculous. They say there are likely 2 main reasons why the Joint Chiefs Chair, Army General Mark Milley, and the 7 others felt the need to pen the letter. First, veterans and possibly even some active duty troops were allegedly involved in the attack. We know that's true now. Second, the Joint Chiefs tend to speak out when something...
But I thought it was just a bunch of fat people mumbling around, Tim, that had no idea what they were doing. But active duty troops were involved. But I thought it was just a bunch of fat people bumbling around.
Really egregious has happened, and there's no question the Capitol insurrection fits the bill. They have developed a finely tuned political radar on when to weigh in. They're going to mention, for example...
When is the pardon list going to break? Who knows? I don't know. I've been waiting to see what the final pardon list was. You know what, though? One good thing, I didn't think of this when they first started the impeachment thing, but somebody brought it up, and it's a really good point. Like, because Trump now has to face another impeachment trial, I bet you that eased him off of issuing some really dumb pardons, because they could have used that in the impeachment trial against him, because he does not want to be, or convicted anyway. He's already been impeached, but he does not want to be convicted. So I think any like preemptive pardons for his kids, any stuff like that, I believe this second impeachment stopped him from doing that. So even if we get nothing out of it, we probably stopped a few really, really stupid pardons.
Example, after Donald Trump said some attendees of the 2017 rally in Charlottesville were very fine people, all the Joint Chiefs spoke out against racism and bigotry. And that's a hoax. That Donald Trump said that he was not talking about the white nationalists. Just look up the transcripts and watch the video. This is that moment was a very serious red pill moment for a lot of liberals when they heard over and over again that Trump referred to very fine people in a strange way. When you actually watch the video, you can see that he actually condemns the white nationalists totally. He said they should be condemned totally, but references there were some regular people who were there who didn't want to see a statue torn down. I can understand why.
I mean, that's not really what he said. I mean, I'll give him that the very fine people thing might have gotten blown out of proportion a little bit, just because that's how the media tends to do things. But you know, that whole week of how he went about pushing back on that was completely terrible. And he did not do a good job of it. He did what he always does, what he did with QAnon, what he did with David Duke. You know, he kind of half-assed it. In his very first speech, he ad-libbed to make sure he called out people on the left, too. Even though when they wrote the speech for him, he was just calling out, it was a prepared speech, calling out neo-Nazis and stuff like that. And then, he said the many sides thing. I don't know if you've seen that one, but he ad-libbed that part. He had to make sure he got the left in there, too. Even though, the far-right people are the ones that were screaming, Jews will not replace us. and running people over with cars.
I'm not a fan of Confederate statues, and I don't think they should have been put up in the first place, and they should be put in a museum. That's my opinion. However, I think the general idea many of those defending the statues had was that we were trying to mend the nation after the Civil War, and so within several decades afterwards, they agreed to put up statues, and that was kind of the point. We had two large factions fighting, and so there had to be some kind of acceptance or so. Reconstruction ended in 1876 after another election, which was so contested it almost resulted.
Well, that's not true. Almost all, I think something like 70% of Confederate statues went up during Jim Crow. You can guess why. They went up, in a lot of southern states to, show the black and brown people who was boss. That's when all those statues went up. They were trying to, pretty much, I think like 70% of them. Also, on top of that, Robert E. Lee, who is one that has probably the most statues, said that symbols of war were dumb and he didn't want to partake in that. He said it was stupid to, I can't remember the exact quote, but no, those statues did not go up after the Civil War. The vast majority went up during Jim Crow.
In a civil war breaking out again. Now we're at a point where...
Yeah, imagine that, Tim with a poor take on the Civil War.
And the left seems to be gaining most of the ground. The worrying thing I see... Well, actually, I can't tell you what I don't know. I don't know. 25,000 troops. Why? That's really weird, isn't it?
No, it's not weird. It's not weird at all. There was an insurrection, or I'm sorry, there was fat people bumbling around, okay? We need to make sure our president is safe. Why is that weird? I don't understand what is weird. Stop with the copium for your pilled-ass audience.
25. The number keeps going up. Now, I don't know what's going on, man. I know some people in D.C. I know a lot of people in D.C.
Yeah, the Daughters of the Confederate, yeah. They had a lot to do with that. Fox has a really good video on that. They pulled a lot of strings and they got a lot of stuff done, especially with textbooks and schools in the South.
And they're telling me this is weird. Maybe it's because the Capitol thing has never happened before, and they're worried about angry American people.
Yeah.
But something just is they're worried about something. So I don't know what's going to happen. But
yeah, man. Yeah, they're worried about a terrorist attack. That's what they're worried about, right? Am I right? I got that right?
Have National Guard authorized to use lethal force to have now 25,000 reportedly coming in. That's unprecedented. And some people have even said that the official request was only for a few hundred support. But now we're in the 25,000? Well, I'll tell you this.
What would be the point of a couple hundred?
The right has the conspiracy theory that Trump has boxed in D.C. with troops that are under the control of the acting Secretary of Defense, which is a Trump loyalist. And the left has very much the same conspiracy. Isn't it funny? But you'll only ever hear from the media criticize.
No, they don't. What? What is a conspiracy, Tim? Let's see if he tells us.
In the right-wing conspiracies. They won't call it the left-wing conspiracy theories where, look, the Democrats are freaking out. The Pentagon is freaking out. The left truly believes that there are, white supremacists and Trump loyalists.
Let me tell you about this conspiracy theory on the left. Nothing. The media won't tell you about it. Okay, what is it? I don't know. There's no conspiracy theory. There's a bunch of troops in D.C. and they walled it off because a bunch of crazy people did something stupid a couple weeks ago, and we were grossly underprepared for it.
To the point where they need to vet all of these soldiers. We also know that there was recently Joe Biden had to. Well, let me read you the story. Joe Biden to have new Secret Service team amid concern about Trump loyalty. I've heard this story was fake news.
Anyway, okay, I think that's enough Tim Pool for now. But yeah, he's just the worst. God, he's the worst. But yeah, so I don't know. That guy, that whole segment just makes my skin crawl with how much he'll just feed into the I should have looked at the comment section. Shit, how much he'll feed into these right wing narratives and try, but at the same time, like he tries to like, you know, keep his hands clean, but he always, if he says something about the right, he always makes sure to include the left. Like, I'm so sick of these conspiracy theories on the right. Oh, and on the left too. It's like, dude, like, not trying to be partisan here in any way, but there's not a conspiratorial left like there is the right. Like, it's a full-blown thing on the right. On the left, there's maybe some people that get bad info, yeah, but I don't know of like a full-blown conspiracy like Melania is actually a man, and Donald Trump is actually going to round up all the evil Republic, whatever. Who knows? I can't, it doesn't exist. There's just not a conspiratorial left like there is a conspiratorial right. The left's truly afraid of fat. Yep. Fat bumbling people. Oh. I mean, aliens, I'd believe in some aliens. Yeah, I always see the MLK quotes from Republicans, and it's like, dude, if MLK was alive today, you guys would absolutely hate him. Like, there's no question whatsoever. Anyway, so I found this piece today on Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it was going over some of the craziness that she spouted in her past. And yeah, I don't know, I thought it was interesting. But anyway, Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene on Facebook in 2018. Parkland school shooting was a false flag. Planned event. In a previous unreported interaction, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican, Georgia, agreed with a Facebook comment that the deadly mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High and South School in Parkland, Florida, was actually a false flag planned event. And next week, she'll be introducing articles of impeachment. In a separate Facebook post in 2018, Greene also claimed, "I am told Nancy Pelosi tells Hillary Clinton several times a month that we need other school shootings in order to persuade the public to want strict gun control." Greene was a right-wing commentator before she successfully ran for Congress in Georgia's 14th congressional district. She has pushed the QAnon and Pizzagate conspiracy theories, which is basically the same thing at this time. Falsely claimed that there is no evidence a plane crashed into the Pentagon on 9/11, labeled the 2018 pipe bomb package to members of Congress and others a hoax, accused the Obama administration of killing former Democrat staffer Seth Rich, and pushed anti-Muslim and anti-Semitic rhetoric, among other things. Greene has frequently used social media to spread information, toxic rhetoric, and conspiracy theories. Twitter recently suspended Greene's account for 12 hours after she spread lies about the U.S. Senate elections. But anyway, so yeah, we got to do a better job of something somewhere, because anybody that's pushing all this garbage does not need to be making laws. And the craziest thing is that she ran on she didn't run against a Democrat. The guy dropped out or whatever. I think lack of money. He was never going to win anyway. But in the primary, she beat a Trump supporting doctor. So it's not like she won like in spite of this, just because, it was in a really red district. Like, she beat a kind of a normalish GOP candidate for her seat. So this is the kind of stuff that actually won her seat. And that, I don't know. We gotta... QAnon is even mad for Alex Jones. True, in a way, but Alex Jones would totally be into QAnon if he could control the narrative more. I think, anyway. Just because, there's a lot of money to be made. And like Alex has danced around with Q when it was popular. He won't now. He's backed off now because, you know, it's not a good look anymore. But, you know, yeah, he wouldn't care if he could get away with it. By the way, I saw this story today. But, you know, Liz Cheney was one of only 10 people to vote for impeachment. But this is after everything that's gone on with Trump. This just shows you how much of the Republican Party, that even after everything that's happened, is still the party of Trump. Liz Cheney, censured in Wyoming for vote to impeach Trump, did not represent our voice. She got censured by every Republican in Wyoming for her vote on the House floor the other day to impeach Trump. So that goes to show you like how much the core of the party is still with Trump on everything. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that Alex even has a platform after the Sandy Hook stuff. But I mean, I don't know. That's not even as bad as that is. I mean, it's not any worse than any of the stuff that half the GOP is pushing at this point. I mean, hell, Marjorie Greene said that you know, Parkland was a false flag, and she's in office now. She makes laws. See what else we got here. What else I got saved? Oh yeah, this is Mike Rothschild. He's a QAnon researcher. He was on CNN the other day.
Have been leaning on you because you have been following QAnon for a very long time. What do you think of the choice that Ben Sass warns of and lays out here?
I think it's about 2.5 years too late. If the Q shaman is busting into the U.S. Capitol and defacing the Senate's desk, QAnon is already part of the fabric of the GOP. It's way too late.
It's a
100% agree with that
great
statement.
point. I mean, look, we saw signs and T-shirts for QAnon all over the place, including that guy, the shaman,
and that just goes to show more that like Twitter, Facebook, all these platforms, they don't get like an attaboy for this. They stayed with the Q stuff and they made as much money as they possibly could off of it while it was, you know, while it didn't come to light that this was a big deal and that this was really like gonna mess with some people and cause a lot of issues. Like, they didn't care about it then. They only care about it now because, again, all they care about is the bottom dollar. That's it. Bottom line. Any updates on Boebert today? I have not really. I've seen something about she gave a tour. But, I mean, she possibly gave a tour the day before, like a couple days before the insurrection or whatever. But, I mean, nothing really of any like significance. I mean, I think we'd already kind of heard about that.
the mob descended on the Capitol on January 6th. Have you figured out in your research what the draw is? What type of people fall prey to these lies, these conspiracy theories, and why this?
Sure. The people who fall prey to QAnon are everyone. It could be anybody. Anybody looking for an easy answer to a complex problem, anybody looking for a villain to pin their own personal problems on, anybody looking for secret knowledge who wants to feel special and important and like they know something that other people don't. That's who believes in Q. It's everybody. It's anybody. No one is above believing in things like this.
Sion Mass, thank you for the follow. Very much appreciate it. By the way, any of you guys that just got here, if you like my YouTube lives, if you could follow me on Twitch, I'd really, really appreciate it. If you want to support me on Twitch, you can subscribe and you get emojis. Also, you can support me on Patreon. link to my Discord is in the description. If you go to my About section on my Twitch, all my links to everything are also there. So yeah, all the links are in the descriptions of both platforms. You guys on TikTok, the link is in my bio to YouTube and Twitch. I really hate saying all this stuff, but I gotta say it. I gotta shill a little bit. Gotta shill for the stream. Anyway, let's get back to it.
QAnon predictions have proven obviously wrong all over the place, and this all lies. I can't overstate that. I want to read how Kevin Roose of the New York Times described what Q has fed people about the election. This was right after the election. For years, they had been assured that Mr. Trump would win re-election in a landslide and spend his second term vanquishing the deep state and bringing the cabal's leaders to justice. Q told them to trust the plan. And so now, when we're here today, Mike, the reaction from Q followers is what? Just continued blind faith?
Continue believing that everything is going to be just fine. Because what else?
It's all good, my guy. I just appreciate you watching. Just saying. I'd rather just live stream on Twitch because I like that platform better. But most of my audience is on YouTube right now. But eventually, I'd like to have it where I can just live stream on Twitch and then upload the clips to YouTube. Because it's kind of a pain in the ass streaming to both. But I'm just stoked anybody wants to hang out and explore the crazy world of conspiracies with me.
Can you do? You've already spent years believing in this mythology. You've pushed away all of the people in your real life who love you. You've burned your boats. You can't go back. So you continue to believe. You continue to push more emotional investment in
that. And that is so true. And that, like, to anybody who has somebody that they know that is deep into conspiracy theories or is really down the rabbit hole, that is kind of how they look at it. Like, they have gone all in on this narrative, and they so bad want to be proven right. And you really haven't had a chance to pull them back out. But if you just sit there and point and laugh at them, it's not gonna work. This is a time and place where you might be able to, move them a little bit, and it's not gonna be easy. I'm not gonna tell you that. But I would say from my experience, and I would say several of the other people that I follow or listen to that, go into this stuff, like Mike, Travis View, people like that, they kind of say the same thing. You have to be gentle with these people because basically their entire world, if you found out, crazy or not, if you found out your entire worldview was just fucking wrong, you would have a hard time with that. If everything you had thought and put time and effort into, you found out that was all wrong, it would suck. It would be really, really shitty. So, it's like a interesting dance you have to do. But, it's possible to bring them back. And I think if we're going to bring people back, next week or two is a good time to try and do it.
Into this movement because you've got nothing else left. It has to come true. It has to be real. Otherwise, you were wrong. And nobody wants to admit that they were wrong.
But a lot of us admit we're wrong all the time, Mike. This is what I'm baffled by. Is this a failure of
not your
people's
whole
ability
worldview,
to
though.
think critically anymore? I mean, the New York Times, I know you were cited in the piece, did a long profile on just one woman in New York City who is a big QAnon follower and posts all the time and talks about how she's been shunned by neighbors and friends and family. But still, is it just a failure of people's ability to use the critical thinking part of their brain?
I think it's part of that, but it's also you have talked yourself into believing this thing that other people not only don't believe, but mock you for believing. And if you admit to yourself that you were wrong, you are opening yourself up to the mockery and the derision, and that you did all of these things and you sacrificed so much in your life and it was all for nothing. That's a very sobering moment in people's lives, and most of us just aren't prepared to do that. We're not prepared to throw away months or years of our lives and our relationships and our career over this hunch because we just don't want to have wasted all this time.
There's so many bigger questions then of what people need to do about it and what Joe Biden or any leader can do to undo this at the point, as you said, when the QAnon shaman is standing and taking over the Senate chamber. It's years too late for a party to start shunning it now. Mike, thank you very much. I sincerely look forward to your book.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, not Q. Mike's making a book about Q and like all his research. He's really, you should follow him on Twitter. He does good stuff, good threads, good like research about it. I saw somebody asked if Q's ever gotten anything right. Like Q only made like the first couple hundred posts. Did Q ever actually like like say definitive things like Hillary Clinton is detained, stuff like that. Mueller is actually working with Trump. And then I think they kind of realized that that wasn't going to work. You know what I mean? Because you can't just be flat out wrong all the time. So then it became like all this, cryptic word salad, as somebody put in the comments there. Watch the water, dark to light, all these weird little, enjoy the show, all this cryptic stuff, just like, one word like Biden, deep state. Who's watching, watching Huma, look for Huma, which was, Hillary Clinton's secretary or I don't know, chief of staff, something like that. But that's the kind of stuff, so you can't be wrong or right. And they can find stuff later, like they have this saying, future proves past. So like they'll look at a post from 2 years ago and something will happen, yesterday, and they'll be like, oh, well, Q said this and dropped 48, so that meant this, and now this is right. You know what I mean? And that's how, from the outside looking in, you wouldn't understand, like, how do these people keep holding on when they've never been right about anything? It's like, well, to them, they have been right because they have all these built-in narratives and ways of looking at things that have been created through hours and hours and hours of looking at these 4,000 posts, that they've made themselves believe that Q has been right because they interpreted shit. You know what I mean? This is one of the theories that was going around the other day. Barack Obama arrested. 2020 election update. Barack Obama arrested 75 days after election in America. A new video surfaced. Naturally, that was not true. But, my fellow thing. That. Oh, this is that guy. I made a video about this, but this is that guy that they were claiming was a BLM activist. People who watch the X-Files and believe the cases were factual are your average Q follower, the heavy dosage of Alex Jones. You know what? I blame Dan Brown and his stupid Da Vinci Code. Like he entered all that into the mainstream. Like they all think they're freaking what's his face? What's the guy's name in the Da Vinci Code? Tom Hanks's character, what's his name? Robert Langdon. All the Q researchers think they're Robert Langdon in a murder mystery, trying to solve everything. Yeah, and that's what they'll always say. Do your own research, and but only the research we tell you to. And they always bring up DuckDuckGo, like they think it's some magical place, like it's not just a search engine. Quite hilarious, or at least I find it quite hilarious. They're always calling Biden a pedo. Do they have a crazy story there, or is it just because the hair sniffing? Well, you know what it is? They have that because they, there are a lot of doctored and edited YouTube videos. Like they'll take a lot of like videos of Joe Biden where he's like hugging a kid or something, but then they'll like edit it where it looks extremely creepy. Like I've had several of those videos sent to me by Facebook friends where it's clearly edited to make it seem more creepy. So that's what they go by. Or or like the one where he's like kissing his granddaughter or something. They edit that one weird. Yeah, I mean, there's no real story as far as that goes with Biden. It's just, oh, look at all these weirdly edited videos. You know, clearly he's a pedo. But yeah, if you haven't seen my video that I made about this guy, he's definitely not BLM and he's definitely not Antifa. He's a right-wing plant that these guys were talking about 2 months ago. You can see November 26th. We have reason to believe that a likely infiltrator, agent provocateur by the name of John Sullivan, or activist John, is attempting to insert himself in the Seattle protest community. You know, basically what we knew all along about, you know, far-right people introducing themselves into the BLM thing. Oh yeah, this is funny. Tim Pool doesn't think that regular people should be worried about politics.
Then you got regular people who didn't care, were forced into the political world because of the COVID lockdowns. They couldn't go out, they couldn't socialize. I know some people who have no business being in politics. They only tweet about it now. And I'm like,
yeah, I know some people that don't have any business in politics. There's one of them right there.
like, dude, you're a mechanic. You've never talked this before in your life, and all of a sudden you're like the Democrat.
But wait, I was a truck driver. What does that mean? I can't talk about politics because I was a truck driver? Like, this is the most elitist horse shit I've ever seen in my life, Tim. Huh, you were a mechanic, bro. Why are you talking about politics now? I don't know. Maybe because it's like a deadly pandemic. People are losing their jobs. Shit's going awry. It's an election year. We have a fash in the White House. There's a lot of reasons you could be talking about politics.
Democrat cheerleader. When the lockdowns happened, their normal communication was disrupted. The normal things they cared about, the video games, the movies, the sports. So they go on social media where it's all politics all the time. And then you force people.
Yes, because Netflix no longer existed after COVID. He might have, okay, maybe he has a little bit of logic there with the sports thing, but I'm pretty sure nothing different happened with video games. Because you play those at home, generally.
People into this room where everyone's just screaming, and then they beg it to stop and they vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah, look, I 100% agree with people wanted a reset to calm things down.
I think Trump would have won if there was no COVID. If that didn't happen, obviously Trump. Then you got regular people.
If Trump wouldn't have completely screwed up a pandemic that killed 400,000 people that he pretended was fake, he might have won. Yeah, okay, I guess I can go with that. Yeah, if he hadn't done like literally the worst thing in his presidency, I mean, I suppose. It's 3 a.m. layers? Where's it 3 a.m. at? Tim looks like he's I mean, yeah, I don't know. Tim has an interesting worldview when it comes to women. He just wants like a woman that's barefoot and pregnant. That's his thing. He is very much into that. The video game industry actually had a big upswing in sales during COVID. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen that photo before. The one with him in baked Alaska and everything. See if we get Tim Pool with far right figures. Yeah, this one. Like literally everybody there is a Nazi. This guy, this guy stormed the Capitol, and then you just have Tim right there. Yeah. But, you know, he's a lefty. Remember that. Tim's a lefty. So this data kind of scared me a little bit because I don't know how this is basically they took a poll of what people in America are most concerned about, and well, we'll just
take a look at what's on the minds of Americans as we begin a new administration in these very troubled times. CBS News Elections and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto is in Westchester County, New York. Good morning to you, Anthony. We are on the verge of a big changed politically, but Americans are on edge. What do they see as the biggest threat to them right now?
Yeah, good morning, Margaret. It is indeed a portrait of a country on edge after the events of the last few weeks. When we ask that very question, what is the biggest threat to your way of life right now?
54% of people in America say other people in America is their biggest threat to their way of life. Economic forces, natural world disaster. How does a world disaster only get 17% during a crazy pandemic? This just shows you how screwed up things are right now. I mean, I know how bad things are, and obviously I look into it a lot, you know, just with always, you know, watching political shit, but I wouldn't have thought it was this high.
More so than foreign adversaries, more so than things from the natural world, disasters, even viruses. People said it was other people in America, domestic enemies. And have a look at this. Even though the Capitol is certainly on edge this week, Americans feel that political violence may increase over the next few years, so hardly out of the woods. And more broadly, Margaret, I would say that although we'll hear a lot about political divisions and a divided country, rightly.
That's pretty damn high. 71% think U.S. democracy today is threatened. Only 29% say secure.
In the next few weeks, you know, Americans feel that democracy itself is threatened, and very few report that they feel that it's secure. These are much more fundamental concerns, Margaret.
Anthony, it's so disturbing what you're laying out here. Is there any sense that it's going to get any better with the Biden administration?
Well, there certainly is optimism, majority optimism, about the next 4 years with Joe Biden as president. I would say these are very partisan divisions, but it is there. Now, the other thing to look at is Joe Biden's opposition in Congress, the Republicans. And here is a party that also seems very much divided. Look, half of Republicans, their rank and file, want their party in Congress to try to find common ground with the Biden administration, but half want them to oppose him as much as possible. And you take a look at this, where half of Republicans say they will still not consider Joe Biden as the legitimate president, even after he...
And these are the same people that for 4 years were like, if he's my president, I support him. Oh, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. Samuel Gold. Man, some of y'all's screen names I'm not very good with, but I mean, I don't know how many times I'm sure y'all heard it. Like, it's like, well, what are you gonna do if Trump loses? Like, well, whoever's my president, I'm gonna support him because I'm not a crybaby liberal. Now it's 51% don't support, don't even consider Biden the legitimate president. I mean, that just shows you how deep the misinformation goes. I don't know. All these numbers are pretty scary to me.
He is sworn
pretty
in.
much every
and
single one.
Who are these folks? Well, this half are more likely to be the strongest Donald Trump supporters, the kinds of folks we've seen
right
over
there.
the last few years who even consider themselves to be Donald Trump supporters first, even more so than Republicans, Margaret.
So that suggests that President Trump's grip on the Republican Party doesn't go away when he leaves office?
It really doesn't, at least not in part, at least not for that sort of core base.
Speaking of that, this guy did some polling. I found was Eric Kaufman. He does some good stuff. Will the specter of Trump 2024 haunt American politics after he leaves the White House this week? Arguably not. Even if the Senate vote to impeach the outgoing president, which would prevent him from running again, falls short of the required 2/3 majority, but Trumpism, a set of beliefs defined by hostility to political correctness, elites, support for border control, and cultural nationalism, is likely to persist. There will be no going back to the Reagan or Bush years, a Republican defined by tax cuts, family values, and missionary militarism. Where's the numbers? Okay. When I conducted my own poll of about 400 Trump supporters 2 days after the Capitol was stormed, and this is right after the Capitol was stormed, Using a prolific and online survey platform, the results were very much the same. I asked which statement comes closest to your view of what happened in the 2020 election. The answer, with emphasis added, were as follows. Trump lost to Biden fair and square. 17% say that. Trump almost certainly lost to Biden, but it would have been closer without rule violations that helped Biden. 13%. Trump probably lost to Biden, but it would have been closer without rule violations that helped Biden. 19%. Trump would have got more votes than Biden without the rule violations that helped Biden. 51%. So, you were there. Like that's going to be the biggest driver of, you know, the political unrest, is that they legitimately thought Trump was going to do like a 50-state landslide. Like I remember the QAnon Anonymous podcast, they went out to the QAnon rally in Arizona, and literally everyone there they talked to thought, and that was like a couple weeks before the election, everybody that they talked to thought if Trump didn't get like a 48-state landslide, that the election was stolen. So, and that's where I think you have a real possibility of a rise of more radical ideas, because they genuinely think they got cheated out of an election. So what is the point of civil discourse? You know what I mean? Now, and this is, again, this is 2 days after the Capitol is stormed. Trump clearly had a hand in gassing these people up. Does this mean that Trump supporters are putting in his hands devoted to a cult figure? Not necessarily. If they would enthusiastically support him running for president in 2024, it would be a chance for their stabbed-in-the-back leader to redeem himself. But when I asked my Trump voting sample, what is your preferred vision for the Republican Party's future, they were decidedly cool on Trump when compared to a hypothetical Trumpist politician with more respect for liberal democracy. Donald Trump runs again in 2024, only 29%. But here's what I thought was weird. Like, a candidate who is more presidential respectful and get things done while adopting Trump's views on controlling immigration, nationalism, and while being willing to challenge the mainstream media, political correctness, and the elites. Like, what? I don't understand what that means exactly. Like, isn't the whole point of Trump like that he owns the media and that he's this brash, like, not politically correct type? So, like, isn't this just Trump? Like, he doesn't really have like a policy set. He just kind of agrees with the last person he talks to that happens to like praise him. So, I mean, but that's really what they want. I really think there's the big majority that just wants to stick it to the liberals and the media elites. Like, that's their whole shtick. Like, they don't really care about policy as much, because literally Trump was all over the place, with his policy set. But one thing he was very clear and consistent on was, well, brown people bad, and the media is stupid, and liberals are stupid. And let's stick it to them. And that was what they loved. Like, no matter what, that was their number one thing. So I don't really know what this means exactly. Like, you want somebody that is Trump, but without, I guess, like, I don't know. Like, maybe they don't want to take it quite as far. Like, still stick it to the liberals, but just don't, like, go completely off the rails, I guess. A candidate who is more presidential respectful and gets things done and avoids Trump's views to focus on older Republican arguments like limited government, free markets, the family, resisting tyranny in the world, 16%. So, yeah. So they basically just, like, they want a different Trump, I guess, is what they're saying there. I don't know. But the 55 or what was it? 54% of people are more scared of other people in the country. Like, that kind of sucks. It went viral. Let me. Dude, Trump doesn't want to be a leader and if domestic terror, and he just wants people to do what he's. Yeah, like I think Trump is perfectly fine just going around the country and doing rallies. Like if this whole impeachment thing wouldn't have happened, I don't think he would have ran in 2024, but I think he would literally have rallies every single day until like the last minute that he could back out of running. Because he doesn't like actually like being president. He just wants to do the rallies and get praised by people. That's all he wants to do. And no matter what anybody says, I don't care how many mainstream Republicans push back on him or, you know, do what Mitch McConnell did today. He's still going to have a huge following. And he needs a lot of money. So he's not going to quit grifting anytime soon. Lindsey Graham and Susan Collins won despite huge polling against them. They won by so much they can't legally be an audit of the machines. Yeah, Lindsey Graham won by like 12 points, didn't he? And that was such a waste of money. Like I knew Lindsey Graham was not going to win. Polling just, I don't know. I think with the rise like of the conspiratorial right, like polling is just, it's almost impossible to do at this point. It's really, really hard to do. Because I think, you know, for the most part, Republicans are just not going to answer polls. I think that's like the one thing Tim Pool has gotten right in the last 10 years. I don't know if he'll start a social media network. I think he'll definitely start a media company though, Trump TV. And I've heard Ivanka wants to run for office. She's talked about running for Senate in Florida, which I don't think she would win. I think she's too, I don't know. Like Marco Rubio has a pretty strong base down in Florida. I don't know if he would, if Trump would win or if Ivanka would win. But I know Eric's wife has talked about running in North Carolina. Don Jr. wants to run. I don't know if he's going to last long enough to run, but I know he wants to run. Like, their whole family's getting into the political grift. That's what they want to do now. Who else was talking about running? I can't look at that guy anymore. I don't want to look at that guy either. Shit, I was going to say something else. Damn. I was going to say, why is Claudia Conway trending? Claudia Conway shares video exposing her mom, former Trump counselor, killing verbally. Oh, that's.
What? What? You're never gonna record another fucking thing in your life. It's going for a forensic analysis. One fucking bit for you to tell people I'm a bitch. What?
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
mocking me.
You think I'm mocking you? I'm trying to have a conversation with you. Do you know what you've done to yourself? Do you know what you've done to yourself?
I'm 15.
No. You're fucking immature. Before you get it all over the sheets that I cleaned.
Can you stop?
No, you don't ignore me.
Jesus.
Asshole. I text them all day long. And they're paying attention to you because they know that you need extra help.
Like this whole family is just fucking weird. Like I don't know. But Kellyanne Conway is clearly a psychopath. But the dad is weird. Claudia is clearly like crying out for help in a lot of these posts. Like I don't like the way a lot of the people like kind of feed into it. I don't know. This whole situation, it's really a sad situation is what it is.
What'd you call me?
What do you want to know?
Hypo?
Hyper. No, I said hyper. From the doctor's hypo. What do you want to know?
Hypo?
Hyper. No, I said hyper. Get my mom, please!
Can you please, Mom?
No, you can't! I want you out of here! You were making you mad. Some 15-fucking-year-old made you mad. I'm never gonna record another fucking...
Huh. Anyway, that's fucking crazy. Just another day. I'd like to see Ivanka run as an independent. She can just screw over whatever Republican she ran against. McConaughey is a full candidate. Yeah. Yeah. She was on Bill Maher the other day, wasn't she? Oh, Xander Hall's live. Oh shit. What do we got here? I got a little bit of it.
Anything bad. You know, people have said that he did lie a little more than most presidents. I mean, no president is completely truthful, but let's.
This is the I need to repair my image after being a soulless human for the last 4 years. Now I can just be a kind of soulless human.
He's a bit of a fibber.
I think the politicians exaggerate and some lie.
But didn't he do a lot more than most?
I mean,
but didn't you once say? I know you did. You once said he doesn't hurl personal insults.
I was making the point that when it was in the context of something, and I also have seen him be very compassionate towards people. He's gotten people out of jail who were languishing there.
This is just a list of what he said about
drugs.
me.
Oh, me.
A dummy, dopey. He's not a smart guy. Dumbest man on television. Fired like a dog. Needs to get back on the pot. Dumbass. A rather dumb guy. A lowlife. Dumb as a rock. Moron. Stupid guy. Very dumb guy. Failing comedian. A really dumb guy. A so-called comedian. Third-rate comedian. Insane, sick, wacko, stone cold, crazy, and crazy
I
maniac.
can't imagine the applause is a sense.
I know, but come on. You said he doesn't hurl insults.
Bill.
That's
if you're
just
gonna
me.
cherry pick things,
That's
listen,
just cherry pick.
Listen, I loved being in public service. I loved serving this country. I gave up millions of dollars to go into the White House, and I loved what my portfolio included, which was healthcare, education, the opioid crisis. And I really liked the incoming that people asking, do you have information on this? Can you help me steer this way? I don't know what I'm doing on this. There's a certain value to public service, and some people look the other way. And, you know, I would also tell you, just lumping together 74 million people with all the troublemakers, the thugs, the marauders.
That's my editorial at the end.
But it's
I'm already
incredibly,
on your page.
it's incredibly dangerous too. And I know they vote every 2 to 4 years, but they.
I don't know if we're lumping all of them in with the bad people. We're lumping you in with them, though. You definitely have a hand in all this.
Consume products and services every day. And I think that corporate America make a big mistake trying to lump them all together and just ignore them. I think that those marauders and murderers, I think that they insult, not represent the whole Trump movement. And that 74 million is not a base. It's a large percentage of this country. But for me, I look at the good that was done to help impact people's lives positively. I think that government is messy. I'm happy that I worked for a president who kept the Oval Office door open to many of us. We can go in and express ourselves. I didn't win every policy debate, but I was heard. And I think any woman in a workplace who is heard by her boss and has a seat at the table should really appreciate that. All these corporate handbooks have it on page 684. We're going to have more.
That's what we're going to remember about the Trump administration. Champion for women. Champion for women, Donald Trump. That's what we're going to remember about that one.
Seat at the table. I had one. And like I said, I lost some of those policy debates. I won some. But he always liked people to disagree in front of him, too.
But he is the president. He represents the country. When he was first there, I remember saying there was a book called Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. You remember that book?
I do remember.
It was probably when you were first doing old politically incorrect shows. We were probably talking about
Cue that tape.
And I wrote down some of the things from it. As we look back on the Trump years, let's see if any apply.
Oh, this is just
This is from
petty.
Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. Don't lie. Don't boast. Don't threaten. Serve your country. Don't pretend racist. Don't insult it. Don't mock the. I think should have been there. I mean, when you see that, Do you have any?
So you think nothing good came out of the last 4 years for people in this country?
Asking about that list.
You know, the people who believed in Donald Trump, the forgotten man or forgotten woman, they appreciate an expansion of school choice in charter schools. Why should just the rich kids have all the opportunities?
That's what I love about you. I read that list and you're right on to charter schools.
No, well, because it's important to people.
You're good at what you do.
But listen, this is what I do, and I think it's important to recognize you have dead terror.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, she's a psychopath. Watching Kate McKinnon portray Kellyanne as it game. Yeah, Kate's great, man. She's the best on SNL by far. Kellyanne called Maher petty on his own show the other. Oh, yeah, I read that. Trump clearly, clear. He hates Maher. He tried to sue Maher for like $5 billion one time because he compared him to an ape or something goofy like that. Or he said that the ape was his dad. Or I don't remember what exactly it was, but it was pretty funny. Anyway. But yeah, all right. So, the Republican forgot the Trump voters well before Trump ran for Republicans forgot the Trump votes, or it was well before Trump ran for president. The truth is they just don't have. I mean, they don't really have like a solid base anymore. They don't have any good ideas anymore. I mean, even like 10 years ago, you could say that maybe there was people in the Republican Party that, had ideas that people could get behind. I mean, what good ideas is a Republican Party even pushing anymore? It's all just culture war nonsense that doesn't really even matter. Like saving Confederate statues, or, stupid bathroom bills, or, just ridiculous stuff that nobody cares about outside of like rich church-going people. And I mean, what is Lauren Boebert running on other than I want to carry my gun inside in DC? Like nobody's taking your guns away. So I don't know what policy you're going to push, unless I guess you're going to like push some policies where everybody can have tanks. Nobody's taking away your guns. That's not happening. They couldn't even get the Manchin Toomey amendment through, and that was with a majority. That was with with Democrats controlling every branch. Like, that's so far down the list of things we need to worry about. So I don't know what they're really. Conservatism is only good practice when you're fighting against fringe new ideas like yeah, I suppose. I mean, I'd kind of like a tank too, but I don't think it's like high on the list of things I need. I'd rather everyone have healthcare first. If we can get like universal healthcare, then we'll get some tanks. But I feel like, there's got to be a limit to, like, not everybody can get a tank. There's got to be a line somewhere. Some people should not have tanks. I don't think that's a controversial view. Maybe it is. I don't know. Dental and a fair wage. Yeah. No, that's true. Feed the donor. Yeah. Like, and they I think, at least the last 5 or 6 years, they've really looked to like cultural movements to fuel their base. Like Steve Bannon wrote a book with this guy like 4 years ago, talking about how he saw Gamergate, which I don't know if you guys really ever followed that whole mess, but he saw Gamergate as an opportunity to bring young people into the conservative movement. So that's why he employed people like Milo Yiannopoulos, or however the fuck you say his name, because at the time he ran Breitbart, so he kind of used like Gamergate rhetoric to get a new batch of people interested in conservative politics. So that's what they do. They use like these cultural, all these culture war things to get new groups. But now, like, they're not even at they've gone past that. Now it's all this conspiratorial stuff. And that's another reason, like, you don't see as many debates anymore. Like, I feel like debates on YouTube aren't nearly as big. Like, every once in a while, you'll see Vosh will have one or something. But it's hard to defend a lot of conservative viewpoints at this point. I mean, unless you're being just completely bad faith. Like, I see a lot of, like, libertarians debating, like, economics, but I'm talking, like, full-on Trump supporter MAGA ideas at this point. Like, they're tough to defend. I want Roseanne Barr to be the first American with a street legal tank. I'm gonna push back on that one. I don't know about that. Roseanne's full Q. She really liked Liz Crokin. She tweeted several times about how Liz Crokin, who is one of the JFK is alive people, or at least she was, it's like this great investigative journalist. Don't forget about how young, educated women are running the nuclear family idea of Republicans. Yeah. Like, God forbid, you not have two kids and a white picket fence. It's just not even that. It's like their ideas are just bad, and that's not like like we're not even to a point where we can talk about ideas anymore. Like, we're not talking about ideas. We're talking about reality versus fantasy. Like, that's where we're at on the Republican spec. Like, if you want to be like even if you want to have conservative values and believe in conservative ideals, cool. Like, I don't agree with you, but like, at least we can have debates on actual policy. Instead, now it's just like, well, no, that's not real life. Okay, let's back up. My mom just linked me The Fall of the Cabal, asking me to watch it. Oh, man. Well, I don't know how long you've been following me, but I have a whole series debunking pretty much every talking point in the Fall of the Cabal. It's on my YouTube. But two of the videos are on my Twitch because I got taken down. But yeah, the Fall of the Cabal radicalized a lot of people. Literally here, I can imagine. Everything is tough right now. I mean, they just that series is how yeah a lot that's definitely been my most popular YouTube series for sure. It needed to be done, man. Like, the reason I made that is because I searched for months because, like, several people I knew had talked about it, and they're like, oh, this is like game changing. And like, obviously I watched it, like, the first couple episodes of it, and I was like, well, this is pure garbage. And then for a couple months I Googled like debunk of the Fall of the Cabal just to see if anybody had made one, and like nobody had made one. And I was like, well, fuck it, somebody's got to do it. I mean, it took a ridiculous amount of time because, literally, like, she literally throws every single conspiratorial half-truth pile of horse shit at you. It's the biggest gish gallop in the conspiracy world. Watch Roseanne's latest vid. So sad, mental illness. And Kuna. Wait, we were just talking about Roseanne, and now she made a video? Yeah. Is it on Twitter? Fall of the Cabal was very complimentary of Putin, not to bring up Russia, but I found it really strange. I think that was just I think the only reason she brought up Putin is because Putin's been linked to Trump a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, like, it was any, like, kind of pro-Russia propaganda. It's just that Trump is clearly, like, not so much policy-wise, but, like, publicly, like, he had the whole moment with, oh, I don't think it's Russia, when he was confronted with Putin there, you know what I mean? So he's been, like, civil towards Putin, and a lot of people have given him flack for how he's gone with Putin. So I don't think there's much more to it than that. Well, yeah, and I was almost blown away at how popular that video got, because she lists no sources, and it's all, you know, but it's not like that's how misinformation works. Like, it's the same thing Alex Jones does. Like, Alex Jones doesn't make one claim and go deep into it. He makes 100 claims and he fire hoses them at you, and he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And, you know, the way he presents it, it's kind of like, oh, well, shit, okay. Just a short selfie vid she made. It was disturbing. Oh, fuck, what's the name of her YouTube channel? Or is it just Roseanne on YouTube? Let's get rid of some of these tabs. Why am I not caps? There. Oh, God. Is it this? Oh, God.
What does this say? What does this say? That's where Johnny's from. I love Baltimore too. It's a cool place. I love that Kimberly Klasick. She probably won too, but they cheated her out of it because she's a visionary thinker. But trick. Even that's why buy the things they're addicted to, because they ain't got to turn all their hate on.
Okay, well, that's disturbing. Jesus. But visionaries are deplorable to Joe establishment. Okay. Yeah, I mean, don't do drugs, kids. I don't know. She looks rough. Super rough. I mean, she's lived a heck of a life. She's pretty much, God, I mean, but she was just on TV, like, what, 2 years ago? Wasn't that when the whole Valerie Jarrett thing, you know? I thought she was white. That whole crazy, blank at the camera. Yeah, no, she was out of it, man. Yeah, no, it was that was just her. She was just drifting off. You couldn't barely hear it. I had the volume turned all the way up. Yeah, 90s Roseanne was based. And honestly, like the TV show, like I mean, even the new TV show, like whatever, okay. Like conservatives want to have comedy, that's cool. Or you want to have a conservative character, I'm fine with that. Whatever. You know, clearly it was a winning formula. She just did some dumb shit, and that's why they what a schmuck? What a schmeck? Thanks for the follow. Twitch VIP. Hey, I got the Twitch VIP in here. Thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. Yeah, no, I mean, she deserved to get canned. You can't go, like, out throwing out racial... I mean, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good. Will Joe Biden die? I mean, eventually. Any thoughts on Ricky Schneider? I don't know who that is. Rick Schneider? Like the baseball player? No, I mean now. I don't know. I mean, Joe seems in decent health. I don't know if he'll get a second term. I mean, listen, whatever happens, that was the only that's the only downside of the whole Joe Biden Kamala ticket. Well, there's a lot of downsides, don't get me wrong. But one of the downsides is either we're gonna get 8 years of Joe and then 8 years of Kamala. She'll be, and Kamala will be the front runner, and I'd much rather have a more progressive candidate. Or we're gonna get 4 years of Joe, like Kamala is next up no matter what, and that kind of sucks. Like, I'd much rather have a more progressive person. What? He's been charged? Representative from Michigan. Oh, the Flint water. Yeah, the Flint water. Yeah. Yeah, they finally holding somebody accountable in Flint. Is that who you're talking about? Will Kamala get MLK Jr.? I don't think so. Kamala's establishment, man. She's she kind of just, she goes with the flow. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, speaking of what was it? Speaking of right-wing media, do you know Ben Shapiro is started a media company?
Here at Daily Wire, we released our first.
By the way, these are the guys that they hate. Did I switch it back? Oh fuck, never mind. Hold on, there we go. Whee! Like, these are the guys that completely hate, Hollywood and all that. But now they're getting into the Hollywood scene, So Ben Shapiro, who's a failed screenwriter, decided to make a movie about a school shooting. But in this school shooting, they fight back, and she kills the school shooters or something. I don't know. Apparently the movie sucks. I haven't seen it, but let's check it out.
First major motion picture, Run, Hide, Fight, stars Isabel May and Thomas Jane. It is an edge-of-your-seat thriller. It's awesome. It's R-rated, edgy, gritty, complex, exciting. It's the stuff that you want in a movie. You would watch it whether you're conservative or not conservative. And we've had amazing engagement. People are loving the film. For those of you who have watched and posted about it, I've really enjoyed seeing your comments and reactions. Our brand is building, and we are so excited to have new members in the Daily Wire community. We cannot wait to make more entertainment, like Run, Hide, Fight. So here's the question that we've been getting a lot from left, right, and center. Why are a bunch of folks who create podcasts and internet news releasing an action-packed thrill ride of a movie? Well, the answer is, I bet it's just a thrill ride. Okay, the fact of the matter is that the culture is dominated by the left. All the cultural institutions.
This is Ben Shapiro basically telling you that he's trying to indoctrinate a bunch of people, basically, is what he's saying.
And it's not just that Hollywood is dominated by the left, it's that their content caters almost solely to the left. You'll have a tentpole flick every so often that really brings in the big bucks, but most of their low-level content is replete with leftist messaging. And the reality, again, is that the critics help exacerbate this problem. If you check out the gap on Rotten Tomatoes between what the critics think and what the audience thinks, it's often...
I don't even know what that means. What do you, full of leftist bad guys are bad, and I don't know. I don't really think media is just full of leftist propaganda. I think it's just movie tropes that are pretty basic, bad guys are bad, and good triumphs over evil. It's pretty basic stuff. I don't think it's ushering in communism in this new Jared Leto movie.
quite wide, and usually where the movies are most political. So you need an alternative. You need a place to go where you can see entertainment that is not going to deliberately offend your values, where you can see a movie that is actually going to side with you. And again,
because I know that's exactly what I think when I watch Thor. Oh, this really offends my values, this movie about this fictional character from a different planet.
There's a lot of left-wing tropes about the United States. The gap has been emerging in real time between Hollywood and the rest of the United States. Hollywood made Atomic Blonde, which was an attempt to respond to James Bond by basically just making James Bond a woman. Very often, the critics are just judging movies almost solely based on politics. Good example, the Jordan Peele movie Us. Now, the movie is, like, okay. It's not a great movie. It's certainly not as good as Get Out, but they decided universally that it was very important for you to watch it because it had super important messages. So all the reviews said things like, well, the movie doesn't meet the high standards of Get Out. It's also a super duper important movie that you must see. All of America must see this movie. Why? Well, because of the messages of Us, which is all about income inequality and racial inequality and all of Jordan Peele's usual sort of leftist messages. You see the same thing even with movies like...
Like, I love how that's where we're at. Like, Ben is like the most mainstream right-wing guy. And even he's like, oh, income inequality is bad? What leftist propaganda? You see what, like, they're just gone completely off the rails. Are you tired of all this leftist propaganda media? Like I feel like the, you know, we as a society kind of decide what movies are good and bad. I've never really looked at the critics' thoughts on a movie before I go see it. Like, if anything, I look at what people are saying about it because, you know, critics tend to have different, you know, things they look at in a movie than I do. But that you would say that Us is like, you know, preaching a bunch of leftist, crazy leftist views. I don't know. I just find that really dumb.
Wonder Woman 1984. When Wonder Woman 1984 came out, audiences basically looked at it and went, this is not good. Except for the critics. We're like, you know.
True, I would agree it was closer to Crank, too. And it, like, you know, of course they're going to try and make a female action movie. Like, they just want to make money. And, you know, that could possibly make money. I don't think Atomic Blonde did very well, though. I don't really remember. I know I didn't see it.
You know what? Sure, it's not a really good movie, but it's so feminist. It's filled with just amazing girl power ideals. Okay, the fact is that Hollywood is constantly making entertainment that is designed to not only oppose your principles, but then they're praising it to the skies. And they do something else, too. They do something else, too, that's worthy of note.
So wait, now feminism is bad, too? Like, you can just say you don't like the movie. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, this hyper-feminist, against my values Wonder Woman movie. How dare they? Like, the article he showed was like how this was pro-Me Too movement. Is he against that, too? Like, I don't understand what his point is with any of this.
If you don't like their movies, then the problem is you. It is not Hollywood. You are now toxic fandom. So if you watched Star Wars The Last Jedi and you thought that Rose was a super boring character, because, let's face it, Rose is a super boring character, or if you thought Last Jedi is just not a very good film, it was because you were a toxic fan who could not handle the wonders of Rian Johnson's complete...
All right, first of all, that Rose, the girl that played Rose, she got, like, death threats from some of the people in the Star Wars fandom. So that is pretty toxic. They harassed this girl to the point where I think she, like, quit. I'm pretty sure. It's been a while since, it was pretty bad. And I don't know. I just feel like if you don't like a movie, you just don't like a movie. It doesn't make you toxic. Now, if you don't like the movie because, you know, oh, Rey is a stupid girl and a stupid girl could never save the world, then you're toxic. Not just because you didn't like the movie. Like, I think he's kind of conflating two of the things. Anyway, that's enough Ben Shapiro. But, yeah, he basically just goes on to say, you know, the leftists are, you know, installing propaganda and we have to fight the culture war, yada, yada, yada. Lefties are bad and everything they stand for is bad. But, yeah, anybody that's still here, if you could like the stream, I'd really, really appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitch. All the links to everything are in the description. If you want to support me on Twitch, you can subscribe. Then you get cool emojis, and I'm pretty sure it's ad-free that way. Also, the link to my PayPal and Patreon are in the description if you want to support me that way. Also, I put a section in my Discord where anybody can share their Q stories. So if you want to join the Discord, just to join and or share your conspiracy stories, I appreciate that. Yeah, see, he's got one. Sam, yeah, he's got two. I can't. Sam's Quanchez. I'm just gonna go with Sam. You get cool emojis like that. But yeah, I don't know. Any questions? Let's no more voting, only childbirthing. Exactly, yes. I just thought it's so stupid. He's like, oh, like the left, like he's like, oh, the left's taking over their agenda. They're throwing all this, they're stuffing all this leftist propaganda down our throat, like feminism and income inequality. Like, what? That's what you are worried about? Am I streaming the inauguration tomorrow? I think so. Yeah, probably. I mean, why not? I don't know. I mean, but I wasn't going to, and like I legit didn't really even set anything up. Like I was gonna have some guests on and stuff. But then I was like, man, everybody and their mother is gonna be streaming tomorrow. But like, yeah, might as well. I don't know. You know, why not? I mean, I know like all the big streamers are streaming, and then like a lot of like TikTokers are gonna be streaming. But yeah, might as well. I'd probably start like 20 minutes before it starts or something. Why not? If you're there, Shannon, I'm there. Hopefully some of the other of y'all. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. Shapiro thinks media influences population, but actually population influences media. Do people want movies? Yeah, and honestly, people just want good movies. Like I've never like watched a movie and like been entertained. Like, oh, you know, it wasn't that good, but man, you know, that female lead, that, you know, her feminism and the way she was a powerful character really did it for me. Like, no, if it's a good character, I'll like it. Like, I like the Captain Marvel movies, or just movie. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good female characters I like in movies, not because they're female, but because they're good characters. And the right, the right just makes bad content. Like, they think Steven Crowder is a good comedian. There's also that Ryan comedian that's on TikTok. I mean, they make bad content, but they're starting to understand. Like, Tim Pool has talked about making like some kind of media empire, and so has Ben Shapiro. Like, they understand that their stuff is garbage and that politics only goes so far. But they, like, instead of like just making good content that possibly has like some messages of like, you know, like a strong woman, or pointing out income inequality, or like, you know, like, I think most filmmakers and people that make content make good content first and then make sure it has a solid message, but don't lose the good content by oversaturating it with your agenda or your message or some kind of propaganda. And that's what people like Ben are never going to be able to do. I haven't seen this Run, Hide, Fight movie, but I guarantee you it's like some leftist that bursts into the school, because I know it's about a school shooting, and the girl like saves the school. You know, it's basically like a good guy with a gun type thing. You know what I mean? So you already know it's going to be like some leftist, and that's going to shoot up the school, and then this super right-wing Republican girl saves the day. You know what I mean? Like, they can't help themselves. That's why they can't make good content, because they just have to, you know, inject too much of their bullshit into it. Yeah, movies that aren't shitty remakes would be nice. But I feel like all the good ideas have been used. Can I use Discord for my phone? We can donate there too. Well, no, Discord's just the app or whatever. But yeah, you can use it from your phone. Like, Discord is it's just it's like a messaging app, and then I don't know how to explain it, but no, the donation links are just in the description. Like you can either on Twitch or on YouTube, you'll see it. Like on Twitch, you have to go to the About section, and it's in the panels. It like with my social medias and stuff, you'll see it there. And then on YouTube, it's just in the description. But Discord's cool because like you can chat from Discord. Like right now, you would show up in the chat on Discord, or like you can send me, like I have like there's different rooms. Like you can send me like stuff to react to, or I have a room where I put like different Q news in there or different news of the day. And then I just have a general room for people to bullshit. And I haven't really like got it up and running yet. Like there's people in there, but you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to build that as more of a thing. You can use NordTap 2020. Thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. You can use Twitch and Discord from phones. Patreon has an app. Yeah. Pretty much everything has an app these days. That's why I say BLM would benefit all Americans, holding police accountable. Yeah, no, most definitely. That's what people don't understand. Like BLM, I hate the argument. It's like, oh, BLM only cares when this or this happened. Like BLM is good for everybody. Like we need serious police reform. We need prison reform. Two things that BLM is pushing for. Like prison reform is a big deal, and it's one of the NordTap subscribed on YouTube. Thanks for the subscription. Fuck, what was I saying? Oh, but prison reform is a big deal. Like, and it's one of the things that we really need to work on, but the problem is that nobody gives a shit about inmates, you know what I mean? Unless you've gone through the prison system yourself, like nobody cares. And so until you go through it and you realize how shitty it is, and then a lot of people don't want to, help those people out because now they're like a felon or something. And yeah, we need serious reform, and that's something that BLM is pushing for. And I saw a video earlier on TikTok of a guy saying like, oh, well, while you guys were saying BLM, we were saying save the children. And I'm like, no, cap, absolute cap. You cannot compare Save the Children to BLM, because Save the Children was a horseshit narrative that actually, you guys hurt child trafficking. You made it worse by blocking phone lines and giving out false information and all that stuff. Like BLM actually did some substantial things. There's Axios did a couple profiles on the different things they got passed, no chokeholds, stuff like that. It's been a couple months since I looked at it, but they made some progress. The Breonna Taylor bill never gets passed if it's not for BLM. So they have done some good. They're, thanks to the right and being able to push propaganda pretty well, they were, they kind of hurt their message, because according to like 50% of the right, BLM is going to come in and shoot you in your sleep if you support police or something. Affordable public housing in urban areas that benefits the whole economy, restructuring. Yeah, no, most definitely. There's more open houses than there is homeless people currently right now. Oh, NordTap, that was a subscription on Twitch. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate that. Awesome. Have you read Johnson Swan's articles in Axios about Barr and Trump? It's delicious. No, but I read, I put it in the Discord too. I put all three. It's a 3-part series. It's breaking down, Trump post-election and how he went from, basically listening to the people, the campaign staff and the people on staff, the chief of staff, Ivanka, Jared, all those people, how he was listening to those people post-election, and how he slowly started creeping towards Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani and the more conspiratorial people, and how he even referred to the QAnon movement as just people that want good government. It's a good, they're doing it in parts. They've had 3 parts come out so far, and they're all really, really good. What I've seen is the right thinks BLM is a bunch of Marxists that want to take over the government. Yeah, trained Marxist was the talking point. When, BLM doesn't really have a leader. Like, it's a leaderless movement. It's got a bunch of different, factions, pretty much. A bunch of different groups and cities. Like, there's not, like the leader of the Proud Boys is Enrique Torrio. There's no real leader of BLM. The 3 people that started it even said, like, hey, this is, this ain't us. We're just, we kind of started this. I mean, if anything, you'd say, like, I guess the face of it, or the most famous person out of BLM is Cori Bush, who's in Congress now. She's full defund the police. She's in Congress. But yeah, that's just, they say stuff like that. Oh, they're trained Marxists, because it's a scary word to a lot of conservative Republican church-going people. Like, oh, well, Black Lives Matter, that sounds like a good thing. It's like, well, yeah, guess what? They're a bunch of trained Marxists. Like, oh, that sounds scary. You know what I mean? It's just scary buzzwords. Like, every Republican talking points just comes down to like 15 scary buzzwords that they've figured out they can push, and people will buy it. Like Kelly Loeffler, literally all she ever said about Raphael Warnock was radical, leftist, liberal Raphael Warnock. Radical, leftist, liberal Raphael Warnock. When he's like a centrist pastor. You know what I mean? Fabulous video documenting Barr's crimes over the past 4 years. And I seen, Barr tried to get off easy today. He did a video about what happened at the Capitol was, terrible, and those people were convinced by misinformation. It's like, yeah, Bill, misinformation you helped push. You're the one that, talked about how mail-in voting was ripe with fraud. You changed the rules about allowing public investigations. Like, you did a lot to contribute to that. So don't cry that you're shocked now. They have no clue what Marxism is. No, Marxism is. Yeah, no, they don't. Hey, same thing. That anytime somebody on Facebook or whatever, Twitter, anytime when they're like, oh, the socialists, the radical, cultural Marxist, or that's one of Tim Pool's favorite words, the communists. Just ask them to define it first. That's always what I start off with. Like, I'm like a couple weeks ago, my old Florida friends on Facebook, they're like, Joe Biden is a radical communist. I'm like, define communism for me. And then once they look up the Google definition, I'm like, okay, now that we have it defined, please explain to me which policy of Joe Biden's is communist. Not all of them, just one. Just give me one. And that usually shuts them up. That's usually what I go with. Like, okay, first let's define that. Let's define what we're talking about here. Okay, now that we have it defined, please explain to me what is communist, because I'm pretty far left. I'm definitely not a communist, and Joe Biden is definitely to the right of me. So something's not adding up here. They're scared of Biden. They're only scared of Biden because they've been radicalized. He's not their flavor of vanilla. Yeah, like the same people that voted for Obama twice now think that Joe Biden's gonna turn the country into this communist China. Like, they think China. Oh, that's another one I hear a lot. It's like, oh, we're gonna get sold out to China. Like, what does that mean? Can you explain to me what sold out to China means? Because I have no idea what you mean. Like, we're gonna have bad trade deals with China. Are we literally going to get sold to China? Am I going to have to learn, you know, a different language now? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, it's always like I always say it's like it's very surface level. Like they're like one at the most 2 questions away from having their entire argument destroyed. For the most part, there's some that are a little more, you know, capable with their rhetoric. But for the most part, people you would meet on the streets that would, you know, post stuff like that about Joe Biden being a communist or this or that, they're just 1 or 2 questions away from having their whole argument destroyed. Hey, thanks. Trump sold us out to China. Soybean exports. And that's not, yeah, Trump was touting the USMCA deal or whatever, which is basically the exact same as the deal before. China is an issue, but like, I don't know why they think Trump was I don't know what they think Trump did that was so tough on China. Like the whole tariff thing was a joke. But yeah, a lot of farmers got screwed over by Trump's deals with China too. Like farm bankruptcies went up over like 20% last year, or maybe it was 2018. That's either 2018 or 2019 numbers. I'm not sure. All right, y'all. I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me. I think when does the inauguration start tomorrow? Like 11? It's like at 11? Yeah, no, definitely use 12 Eastern, so 11 my time. Okay. Definitely, yeah, I like, cuz I really like the QAnon casualties, what they do with their community, but you know, seeing as I cover that stuff a lot, and I know a lot of the people that watch my content have family members and stuff that are involved with Q. Like, yeah, I created a room if you guys want to, you know, share your Q stories, you know, family, friend stuff. You can put that in the Discord, you know, gives everybody a thing to, like, you know, bond over, whatever, stuff like that. Tons of bailouts, yeah. No, yeah, the China tariffs were ridiculously dumb. They did absolutely nothing, and they screwed us out of a lot of stuff. But yeah, so okay, so it starts at 11. So yeah, I'll go live like maybe 20 minutes prior to or something. I don't know if y'all get the notifications. I have to have my subscribers say they don't get notifications. So I don't know. Like, it doesn't even send me, like, to my other account. It doesn't even send them most of the time when I go live. So make sure you hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube is the name of that thing. Yeah. But yeah, no, really appreciate it, guys. And like I said, links to everything down in the description. Same thing on Twitch. Links to everything are in the About section. All you gotta do is click on the panels. Yeah, all my Patreon. You could subscribe on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Twitch, or just give this video a like, and I'll really, really appreciate that. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Thanks a lot.